shall we? Ugh. Okay, Williams is sheckle-maxing. I'm cool. You know, I'm cool with using the hip lingo and shit. Everybody understand who the man is. Let's see. I do want any shekels anybody wants to throw my way. You're more than welcome to. It'd be mighty white of you if you did. Understand what's happening here. Understand who the man is. There's just so much. There's just so fucking much out there. Where the hell did this broad go? Jessica McKinnon. Good old Ron Sampson. Hey, let's send it to Hogo. Let's see if we can get Hogo involved today. I haven't seen Hogo in a long time. I could just send this to so many people. I don't really want to. I don't like doing this, but you know how it goes. Didn't mean that to happen. Sorry about that. Doesn't much matter. Interesting how today we're 3 minutes in and I don't have anybody crying yet. A couple days they've been here within a minute. Within the first minute they were here and they were crying. I hope they're all not okay. I hope they're all dead. Seriously, I wish I could make money like everybody else gets to up here. I was allowed to get you guys to send me super chats and shit. Oh, fuck, man. Oh, well, now I have 1 like and no viewers. Now I have my viewer and my like. Whew, must be, no, not Matt. Matt's at work. Who could it be? Who could it be now? Who can it? Who can it? Two likes and one viewer. Man, I am kicking ass. Doesn't everybody want to, like... Don't you want to make the world better? Seriously. Whether it's, you know, it's funny, we're supposed to say it for the kids, for the next generations, and that's true, but I want to make it better for us. I want our lives to be better. You know, I'm terrified about the draft, that they're gonna set up a new draft. And it's weird because, you know, before when they did this, you could escape. You could go hide, you could run to Canada, you could, you know, there were options for you. Nowadays, you're just fucked. You can't go anywhere, everything's all digital. Draft for what? To go die for Israel. That's for what, unfortunately. And of course, Israel doesn't necessarily exist. We have to always remember that. Israel doesn't exist. Israel is not a thing. Israel is an idea. It's a construct. Go get a felony and you can't be drafted. Oh, well. I mean, it's worth it. Fuck. As screwed up as it may be, it's definitely worth it. Anything to not go do the Israel bullshit. Not go get, you know, fucked up for life, either physically or mentally. You know, it's gotta fuck people up when they realize, like, I'm out here committing genocide against civilian populations for Israel. I'm not doing that for the themish cult. You know? Like, it's gotta be fucked up. It's gotta hurt your head. I think that's where a lot of the PTSD, the Vietnam vets and shit that came back all fucked up. It's one thing when you've been tricked into believing, you know, you're protecting your people at home, you know, you're fighting for our freedom, blah, blah, blah. But it's another thing when you realize, like, oh shit, this is for some rich thems. Some rich themish fucking nutcases who apparently wanted more power and shit like that. You know, it's weird, the Netanyahu shit. You know, it's like, part of your head says, does he even hear what he's saying? Does he know he's saying the quiet part out loud? But it's not really the quiet part, right? They don't hide that from us. They absolutely want us talking about the genocide. Talking about just how fucked up it is, how bad everything is. You know, they want us to be focused on the futility of it. You know, the disgusting nature of it all. They want you to feel ashamed. They're not trying to keep it hidden. It hasn't been hidden for a long time. Genocide? Where? Where is there a genocide? If you're asking that question, you're more than likely a friar. And you're just a piece of shit. There's no... You're clearly a piece of shit. Everything about them is just rotten. It's a rotten cult. It's a rotten cult that does just horrible, awful things to their own people. You know, if they can do Mishnah Nadah to their own children, imagine what they're doing to the rest of the people, right? You got an entire cult based in pedophilia. Without pedophilia, the cult doesn't exist. You know, it's like the main staple of their shit, and people just don't realize it. Right? And the weird part is people do, like, they talk about it, they know about it, they've heard about it. I knew about it. I knew it to some degree. I just didn't understand, like, how inherently sick they are. Like, you would think if it was something, you know, most of us think that if it's as bad as that somebody would do something, right? There's no way they can openly be pedophiles and our society still allows it, but that's the truth. You know? It's shocking. It's fucking shocking. And we've been all taught, programmed that we're not even supposed to, you know, noticing is anti-Semitic at this point. But, you know, the fact is, most people don't even know what Semitic, the difference between Semitic and Semitism, and, you know, their tricks are just, they're good at it. You know, when everything about you, when your supremacy isn't based in reality, you get good at lying. I love this clown that comes here, cries all the time. Almost every day they're here crying the same shit. Because again, anything I do is worse than what I'm talking about, right? Sorry, I don't have the ability to get the chosen by God money, the working for Israel, trolling people for money. Yeah, sorry, I don't get that. Just answer the question, because I make the rules around here. Just answer the question. Don't you realize my supremacy? These guys are just fucking morons, man. You know, any desperate thing they can come up with to try to avoid the rape. You know, if you don't know about Mishnah Nadah 5:4, that's on purpose. They did that to you. They wanted you to not know about it because they know that like, we barely tolerate their cult, right? And if it wasn't for the, you know, eternal salvation aspect of it, if you didn't believe that these are the God's chosen people and shit, which consequently would affect you and your salvation, you might have to go to you might not get to go to heaven if you speak out too much about this. If you didn't have that wall, you'd be very quick to talk about it. You know, they've seasoned us and seeded us, and they've tricked us into believing that when people are born, when people, you know, people's parents have sex in a different part of the world than where your parents had sex, that, you know, that either gives them the rights or takes away their rights or whatever. Like, that's, you've been trained and tricked into that, right? What's up, Stephanie? So, you know, you've seen how it all, you know, the way that they've desensitized you, seasoned you to the idea of Arabs being bad guys and Arabs, you know, essentially being killed. You've seen that your whole life. And so you're completely desensitized to it. And when you're shown these, you know, all the films, all the evidence of the genocide, the human side of you hates it, right? But the programmed part of you, you can shut it off. Oh, well, that, one of the things you'll say is that conflict's been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and, dumb bullshit like that. Like, my bad. You've been shown time and time again that brown people should be killed to appease what white society wants, or fears, or whatever, right? And as much as you know it's awful, you've been tricked. And so, especially when it comes to patriotism. But there is that side of you, and I think they've tried. They've definitely tried to normalize it to you through the church. How many times can your religion get openly exposed as being, a pedophile network, human trafficking, yada yada yada? The Catholic Church is the top dog in that regard, at least from our societal perspective. But I think we still resist it. We know deep down that's just it. That's the wall. That's the thing that, that's the line you don't cross and get to come back from. Right? We don't forgive you for that. We don't overlook that. We know that that's too much. And yet, Mishnah Nada tells us that they can rape all the children they want. If the child is less than 3 years and 1 day old, well, then it's just sort of a wash. It sucks and all, but her hymen will grow back, is what they teach, and that's okay. Right? And if the child is over 3 years and 1 day, then you marry that child. Like, it sounds weird saying it. It doesn't sound like, it's not believable. It's not a real, it's not a thing that you would think exists, right? But you see this, look at the comment section, right? Look at how this dude is desperately trying to shoot the messenger. Not at all concerned with what I'm saying. Nothing about what I'm saying is he like, oh yeah, that's really fucked up. Like, I don't like you, but at least you're telling the truth, and at least you're trying to stop this. At least you're trying to protect the Jewish children, right? You would think that would be what they would say. But instead, the pedophile, because that's who it is going to cry about whatever they can. Whatever dumb shit they can cry about, they're going to. Except for, again, not addressing the reality here. It's just so interesting, and I'm so grateful that they're dumb enough to do it. Because you don't even see them say things like, yeah, we're Jewish, and this is our belief structure, and we're proud of it. It might not be what you like, but we're proud of it, and fuck you. They don't even say shit like that, right? This dumbass who's on my feed all the time, clearly either not working or getting paid to do so, is going to cry about this. You're not working. Like, this is all I get. Why wouldn't you address, it's like the elephants in the room, and you're talking about the fucking, look at the furniture, and man, that's a dirty floor, and Hey, can you turn the lights up and why? Everything you can. And it's like, don't you see the big fucking elephant? Why are you avoiding the elephant? And you always have to remember that, all of these Jewish people that are here, they make up 0.183% of the world's population. Okay? 0.183% of the world's population. So for every one of them that's here, there should be at least 550 or so people watching at that time. You understand that? From an organic perspective, for them to be here, for every one that's here, there should be a good 500 people watching. Plus, now, we know that this isn't organic because this fucker's here like all the time. Always. Almost like it's their job. Their act.io Rise app job. But, and that's all it points to. It either points to, it points to my importance, really. For me to be so important that they put this much effort into me is shocking. It's especially since apparently I'm wrong. Right? I stumbled across today. What was her name? Oh fuck. The Pledge of Allegiance girl. That's what she calls herself. The Pledge of Allegiance girl, and she does the Pledge of Allegiance and shit. And it's just the weirdest shit. Like, it's just such a weird video. And I watched, her videos are only like 2 minutes long or 5 minutes long or whatever. And I watched maybe 2 of them. No, maybe 3. And I commented a couple times. But I'm definitely never going to go back there. I'm definitely not going to, set my alarms and shit so I can go there and then I'm going to talk shit and all this other stuff. Like, it's so weird. But that's the other thing. You don't see, you can look at her comments. And strangely enough, there's not a bunch of Jewish people crying about anything or praising or anything. So there's nothing organic about this infiltration, right? These pests that need eradication. They need to be eradicated as quickly as possible. Ain't the fucking joke, dumbass. Again, I would think it would be if I was in your shoes, I would definitely be pushing the notion that I was paid to be here and not just some obsessed weirdo, some guilty pedo who feels bad about what they do on some fucking level. So they come here and get fucking punished, I'm done because you were joking, but I just responded to you. Maybe you're, but you had to use the wrong your, Stephanie. Even though they wouldn't catch it, I still catch it. It's not funny. Well, it's funny how they're supposed to be taken seriously, I guess, until you call out the dumb shit they say. Then suddenly it's like, oh, we're just joking, or it's just entertainment, or whatever it is. It's just sick. It's just sickness. You're seeing sickness. And if I was in those shoes, like, I would never admit to I troll another dude. some other man matters to me so much. You know, like as much as I hate fucking Ben Shapiro or bitch ass Shmuley, you're not gonna see my comments on his shit. I'm not gonna sit there and watch Ben Shapiro. I can barely listen to him talk. Like the sound of his voice is just awful. Shmuley's even, you know, I don't know who's worse, but it's close. And I just can't even take listening to them, let alone I'm gonna watch them every day and cry about everything they do. You know, if I had the opportunity, that's the other thing. If I had the opportunity, if I went live on their shit, or if they went live, or some sort of something happened, and I had the opportunity to speak with one of them, and they actually were speaking back to me, like I had their attention, the last thing I would do, even though it's fucking funny as shit, you know, I wouldn't waste my opportunity talking about Ben Shapiro's fucking eyebrows. You know, as comical and ridiculous as they are, I wouldn't waste the time. If I had that doofus's fucking ear, file shit, I'd be pointing out what's wrong all the time. I wouldn't sit here and just waste the time. That's the part that's so interesting to me. You beg and beg and beg for my attention, and then when you get it, you're like Stewie, mom, mama, mom, mom, and then you finally get it, and you're like, hi, you know. Of course, and now we've got the random person posting pizza slices, even though nobody was even mentioning pizza. We were talking about child rape, and so this guy comes through and starts posting pizza slices. Like, do most of you, do you guys, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe that's the thing. I'm too old. Right? Because for my generation, anybody I know or associate with or whatever, nobody makes pedophile jokes. And if they did, it would be, you know, they'd be outed, and it would be a bad thing for them. Like, you know, I would absolutely call you out if you were making pedophile jokes and flat out tell you how not funny it is and how I now think you're a fucking pedophile because you're making pedophile jokes. Like, that seems like pretty standard way of thinking to me. Now, if I'm wrong, again, I'd love to hear it. If somebody can tell me what I'm wrong about, I'm all ears. But, you know, who's going to do that? Who isn't a pedophile is going to out themselves as a pedophile? Whether it's, you know, for any sort of joke. You're like, haha, look at haha. That's strange to me. Now, when it's, you know, the situation it is, them outing themselves in that regard is a flex. You know, I can see that, them, you know, being a flex. Look at, we can out ourselves and it doesn't matter kind of shit. But to you know, to out yourself in such a way, I mean, it's the same thing as like, so your thing is you like to troll people. That's your thing, is just to be a troll in general. You have no life. You have nobody that likes you or wants to spend any time with you. So you go out and, you know, humans, we want interaction. We're social creatures. Even if you have the crippling anxieties and shit, you wish you didn't. Because you would want to, you know, you want to you want to be, accepted. You want to be a part of the group. And so, it's like the kid that gets abused at home, right? He doesn't really know how to engage with people in a normal way, in a positive way, because he doesn't get that. He's never had that at home. So instead he goes to school and he gets in trouble. He does things that get him in trouble because that's how he got attention his whole life. His parents didn't pay attention to him unless he was in trouble. And that's why dysfunction's so fucked up, because, it doesn't really understand. It doesn't make any sense. But it's how it is. That's what dysfunction is. I mean, look at this shit. Look at now we have two of them. We have at least two identifiable Jews on here right now. Out of the 6 people that are here, 2 of them are Jewish. Oh shit, fucking deer. That's amazing. %33 of them are Jewish. They make up 0.183% of the world's population. I definitely don't have, 1,000+ people watching. And actually, these aren't just random Jewish people. These are Jewish people who are obsessed with me, who watch me every day and beg for my attention, yet aren't smart enough to get it through, through debunk or anything like that. Instead, it's just crybaby. They're so, I don't know, they're trying so hard to get their points, and I guess they just really don't think it matters, but I appreciate it. I'm so grateful to them for being here, because it would be a lot harder for me to push these narratives if they weren't here backing it up. And always remember, anytime you start to feel angry or whatever at anything they say, remember that they all have tiny, tiny little micro penises. Tiny little micro penises. Oh, now we have 3. 3 out of the 7 are here. 3 out of the 7 that are here are the cult. And obviously I matter to them. I mean, think about all of the famous people. Think about the much more famous truthers out there with the huge followings and that are allowed to have those huge followings and shit. They're not on those guys' page. They're here, crying. It's the most interesting thing, and you have to wonder what does it all stem from? Where does it all come from? Because they're just so stupid. It's like on the basketball court or standing, and they're like, let me in the game. And you're like, all right, man. I'm looking at you, I wouldn't assume that you're any good at basketball, but all right, let's see. And then you let them in, and they act like a typical Jewish person. You're like, what the fuck? You can't even dribble, dude. Why'd you talk all that big shit? You can't even play this game. There's nothing. You can't contribute to this even a little bit. If you're watching, like, share, and sub. If 9 viewers and 7 likes makes sense to you, then whatever. But if you can see what's going on here and think, man, this is definitely different. Ask yourself what's going on. Ask yourself why these people aren't coming in here and going, yeah, you know what? I don't know why. They don't like me because of my face or my hair or whatever. Who cares what it is? Right? They don't like me. But I'm right, and we need to do everything we can to kill pedophiles, to end the pedophilia. Notice how they never say anything like that? They're just mad. What are they mad at? What am I saying that has the average person so upset? You know, I don't meet anybody in my real life that is a fan of Israel. I don't even meet Trump supporters anymore. But I never meet anyone that's like, fucking A, Israel's amazing. And yet they're here and they're crying, like they always are. But they don't, they don't back it up. They don't sit here and prove to you guys what I'm wrong about, why I'm crazy. All right? Don't worry, I'll come to you. Look at this shit. Look at how dumb this gets. Like, it's like they don't even hear what's being said. They just talk nonsense. You're Y-O-U-R crazy. Yeah. Obviously, we're dealing with really high intelligence here, right? Adults who don't know the right your to use while they're talking shit about somebody else being stupid. I'm stupid and I'm crazy, but goddamn, if I don't know the right your to use when I'm trying to talk shit to somebody. And if you're paying attention, every time I say your, I'm using the right your when I talk. So you can't get me on that. They're just so fucking pathetic, man. They're pathetic. And look, here we go again. Up, hit that reset. Gotta go back to the beginning. Gotta start back over. Because he's winning. All the crybaby shit they talk. And all I gotta do is point out the fact that they don't even know the right your to use. And a lot of it, you gotta remember, English isn't their first language. It's probably not even their second language. Between Yiddish and Hebrew, it's probably their third language. And so they struggle with the obvious things. And you can see it. I mean, you can see it over and over again. You can see the crybaby, the weak arguments. The fact that, like, when directly confronted about something, they just start talking about something else. It's just, it's like so fucking goofy. I say it all the time. If I smoked crack every day and shot heroin to balance it out and was smoking meth and all these other things. No, remember, I'd have to be pretty rich because drugs aren't cheap. But say I do all those things, and then also I drink all day long. I'm always drunk as fuck, and I beat my wife, and I beat my kids, and I kick my dogs, and I do all these things. Does that take away from the fact that they believe in Mishnah Nada 5:4? That if you rape a 3-year-old little girl, as long as she's 3 years and 1 day old, she now belongs to you as your wife? Is there anything that I'm saying or doing or could do that would be worse than that? Now look, suddenly I have 2 viewers and 9 likes. If you're wondering, if you want evidence, right? Obviously I can show you evidence when it comes to like the passages and shit like that. We can always go there. But on a much more, a much deeper level, a much more critical thinking kind of level, ask yourself, have you seen something like this before? How does this make sense? Don't algorithms work in that the more likes you get, the more you're shown, the more views you have? Like, don't they work in conjunction with each other? How do they know who to push if not for likes to view ratio? And so I'm getting, I have 8 likes. Now it's 8 likes. I lost a like. Wah, 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 wah. I lost a like. But does it make sense that I would have 3 viewers, 2,700 subscribers, 3 viewers and 8 likes? When you can clearly see, now I have 2 viewers and 8 likes. You can clearly see there's more than 2 people commenting. And of course, of those commenting, at least half are Jewish. Right? So these are just the elements of the equation. So when presented to you, evidence-wise, does this look like evidence that I'm wrong? Does this look like evidence that I'm not being targeted? How does this make sense? You got 9 over this side of the pond for some reason. 2 viewers and 8 likes. 4 now. And I really do hate harping on it, but to me it's a great piece of evidence, right? It's not like I'm not complaining. I'm not, it's not my own personal shit here. I'm looking at it from a bigger picture standpoint. Like if this was anybody else's feed, I'd do the same thing. I do the same thing. Knowing what I deal with, knowing the censorship I get when I look at an Ian Carroll and I see them allowed to have all the views they do, I question that. Still haven't seen Ian Carroll yet. Has he popped back up? I've seen he has commented on some things, and then those things were highlighted by guys like Rathbone. But I still haven't yet to see Ian Carroll, right? Why am I not being pushed in the algorithm? I talk about Jews all day. Why would talking about Jews all day affect the algorithm? Like, you see what I mean? You see how stupid you are that you admit things that maybe you shouldn't? Like, who is going to care about talking about Jews all day? Only them, right? Why would the computer care unless the computer is told to care? But at the end of the day, I say it every single feed. I think the number one goal, the number one, thing that we should all be moving towards, the most important thing in this whole equation, is to protect the Jewish children. Right? So you would think if protecting the Jewish children is the number one goal, shouldn't all these Jews be on my side? Why are all these Jews so angry at what I'm saying? Interesting how that works. Interesting how that works. But you see how they acknowledge things, right? They're acknowledging that because I talk about Jews all day, according to them, that negatively affects my feed. Why would that negatively affect my feed? Who in their right mind cares about them so much that they're going to be mad? And the thing is, too, if you're proud of yourselves, shouldn't you want that? Like, I can't imagine. Actually, it happens, I don't sit here and go, man, I sure hope people aren't talking about Guy Williams all day. Even the Jews themselves, I don't, I know that they're sitting around talking about me all day. That's flattering. There's clearly a lot of effort that's put into me. I don't know why you would be upset about that. Like, I want you to say as much as you can. They used to make fake pages, you know, directly about me. But, you know, after they realized just how many people they were bringing to my page by doing so, they stopped doing it. But I always encouraged that. I never told people, oh, go report those pages they make about me. Go get those pages taken down. Fuck no. I want you to talk. And I want anybody that happens to hear what you're saying and maybe even gets mad, goes, what? Fuck that guy. I need to find him. Because it's not going to take them very long to realize what's going on. You guys are so fucking dumb. It works out. Oh, schizophrenia. Yep. Schizophrenia. I know that there, T-H-E-R-E, see what I mean? Clearly not their first language. Can't get the your right, can't get the there right, can't get the twos right. And believe me, that's not on purpose. But who else do you think that is? So now we have another one of those boxes checked. Who else could it be? Who is going to be mad at me for talking about Jews who can't speak English very well, and then also has the ability to affect things through meddling behind the scenes? Who do you think that's going to be? It's always interesting how stupid they are. It's always shocking to see it play out in real time. And you just think, like, what makes you think, you know, outside of being told you're this super special God's chosen people bullshit, what actually backs that up? Wow, look at that. Whatever kind of military plane that is. It's interesting. I wonder what plane that is. What if it was Netanyahu's plane and then he fell down? That's great. See, another one comes in and outs themselves. Like, they're the only people that are dumb enough to continuously use schizophrenia incorrectly. First of all, to throw around mental illness like it's funny just shows you what kind of low-brow, low-level people they are, right? But then to throw it around like they do, but incorrectly, it's just so funny to me. How stupid can you be? Nobody thought to you know, maybe try to find something that's more accurate with the you know, the claims you're trying to make. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And it's easy to trace it back to its roots. It's easy to understand why they say it. You know, this is what they've been told to say since 1881, if you believe in the narrative that we're given. This is how they've been told to fight. Anytime somebody says something that is smarter than you, which is very often, which is smarter than you're capable of defending, just call them crazy. Say they have a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and a rational phobia. Because that's what their auto-emancipation says from 1881. And you know, it's like 1881, that's so long ago, how's it? But when you see it's the same tactics, their shit hasn't evolved. They're just not very smart. They're not very smart, and they didn't need to be. What's up, James? James Dixon. gotta be clear here. Yep. They really need to sort out their mental elves, sort their mental elves out quick now. I mean, they're they're crazy. Gaisha knows a lot about Jews. I think he is one, honestly. Yeah, because knowing thy enemy is a bad thing. It's really interesting how these same fucking dumbass tactics are used over and over again. Like there's not a creative one amongst them. One of them says something about wasp spray and they all like, oh yeah, that's a good one. And they all just start using it. But they're just so inherently stupid. One of the things I'm really the Tartaria stuff is so fascinating to me. And it makes me look at the old-timey boxers, right? The old bare knucklers. Where back before there's footage, which there shouldn't be, we should have had lots of footage of the fighters at the turn of the century and shit. We had cameras and all that shit long before that. So strange that as important as the heavyweight championship especially was, that there's not a lot of footage of it. But you look at the old pictures and the old fighters and of course back then, before blacks were allowed to compete at the highest levels, that's when supposedly you have all these Jewish people that are the champions. But the narratives were shown and told about in every case. If you look at it deeply and you look at it with skepticism, because that's the thing about, like, the only time you're really interested in history is when you're in school. And it's because you have to be, right? And yeah. So as soon as I start talking about boxing and bare knuckles, just another one of these clowns just happens to show up just right there. Isn't that amazing? Joined 2 years ago, has 0 subscribers. What an amazing coincidence, don't you think? But you the more you look into shit, the more you almost seem to hit that wall where, you when you're skeptical, like I said, when you're forced into history as a kid, you have to regurgitate it. It's not about you being there and trying to, figure it out or anything like that. As a matter of fact, if you start asking too many questions, you get in trouble. Your teacher gets mad, whatever. So, history almost becomes like tedious, like something that you don't even really enjoy, because it brings about those feelings, those memories of being forced into learning something and whatnot. But once you're an adult and you don't have any grades to get, and you can just look at history as a human, from a human perspective, and just try to, see if it makes sense. Same thing with your dumbass Bible and all that other stuff. It really doesn't take much. It really doesn't take, you don't have to find any secrets before you start running into holes in the story. Little things that you just sort of have to believe, or just don't question them. You just, that's what the narrative is. That's what I'm going to go with. And I immediately think of the Nation of Islam, right? Of all things, but that's the thing that pops up in my head right now. And the history of the Nation of Islam is not at all what you would think. Like if you were to think about it and you were to say, well, if I were to say, give me your best guess as to how the Nation of Islam got started, you definitely wouldn't think it would be by a mysterious Jewish-looking fella, Wallace Fard Muhammad. You wouldn't think he would be the guy that started it. And of course, he only really exists, you know, in the public eye from 1930 to 1934. And even then, he's barely seen. You have to trust that these people are telling you story, you know. But then you look into the history of him, and his history just doesn't make sense. It absolutely seems like a psyop. You know, it absolutely seems like you know, some bullshit. And I don't want to go too far into it, but to me, like, if you just look at I'll show you a picture here. Karen is sending me pictures. What the fuck? Where is my... Oh, did my kid delete it? I think he did. Yeah. Alright, so he deleted the Wallace Fard Muhammad photo, but it's easy to find. Wallace Fard Muhammad. So, this is clearly two different people, but they're both supposed to be him. But that's the guy that founded the Nation of Islam, supposedly. Doesn't he have a very a specific look about him, especially in this picture? But this one, he looks like somebody completely different. You don't know what's going on, Kieran. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. Yep. I'm constantly twerking. Yes, I'm always twerking. And talking about Jews. Yeah. It's weird, too, how you say that like I'm just talking about what, you know, them in general. What the fuck? Get away from me, B. But I'm actually talking about their practices more than anything and what they do in this world. Here's a different picture of Wallace Fard Muhammad, apparently with his head shaved. Yep. Like, it's just dumb. It's all fucking dumb. Wallace Fard Muhammad, Los Angeles arrest, photo 1926. Wallace Fard Muhammad, San Quentin photo 1926. Wallace Fard Muhammad, Detroit area arrest, photo November of 32. Wallace Fard Muhammad, Detroit area arrest, May 1933. It sure looks like those three are basically the same photo, just doctored. And then that one, who knows who the fuck that guy is. Hola. Like, seriously, do you really think of this guy? Founded on July 4th, 1930, in Detroit by the mysterious teacher Wallace D. Fard Muhammad. Emerged during the Great Depression when black Americans faced intense racial oppression and economic hardship. Yeah, that's another thing. Didn't even think about that. this guy is successfully creating the Nation of Islam while the depression is going on. I mean, to me, it's so fascinating to think about how people, just how society worked prior to phones and internets, and I lived it. I was, the first half of my life was in that window. I was an adult and didn't have cell phones. I mean, they existed, but they were only used to make phone calls. And so to think about, a guy like this showing up in Detroit in November, or no, they found it in July, but he showed up early. It was, he didn't show up and it just happened. He had to get there. Just the whole idea of his existence is being in question and fake. And yet somehow this man who isn't photographed or isn't seen or, nobody knows, was able to influence people that strongly in the 30s, when you would basically, the only interactions you would have would be face to face. I like the world before cell phones. I do, but I definitely can't imagine going like life without cell phones at this point. It's so weird, but the ignorance, and I guess ignorance is bliss is sort of the fits that very well. But the ignorance that we all had prior to cell phones is not something I think we need to repeat. There's something very magical about having all of your questions answered. Where you get in an argument with someone about something. You don't even have to get in the argument anymore. People used to get in friendship-ending arguments because one person said something is this and the other person said something is that. And they would go back and forth, and they would just build and build and build and build, and suddenly other shit would be coming out, and, all kinds of shit would happen. And nowadays, before it even begins to get heated, you just go, hey, wait, let me look it up. The idea of Wallace Fard Muhammad, if I'd heard that name before, I don't remember. I don't remember hearing that name growing up. But I know I wouldn't have been able to, if I heard that name, it's not like I could know anything about him, sans, going to the fucking library and having to, hopefully the book was there, hopefully it wasn't destroyed, or God forbid you had to use fucking microfiche or whatever the fuck that shit was. Like it was difficult back then. Shit was way difficult. And we don't realize just how good we have it nowadays. And I think, like you say, the pros and cons with everything. I think if we were in a society that did things differently, this weapon that we have would be much better used. It's a weapon. This is the ultimate weapon we Goyim have. We don't have weapons like tanks and shit like that. And even if we do happen to be well armed, when it comes to the robot dogs, the T-1000s coming down the street, your little fucking your armaments aren't going to do shit. All of you preppers out there, all you're doing is prepping to kill off whatever neighbors survive. You're going to do the dirty work for the system. And then when they come through to do the final cleanup, there's nothing you're going to do. There's nothing you and I can do about that. The only thing we can do is unite. Speak to the women who can speak to the men. All of the men that are in charge have wives, have daughters, have cousins, have sisters, have mothers. Well, mother's probably dead, but you have all of these connections to you. And it's them that need to reach out to the the cops and the military people and say, hey, look, we're not telling you to put your guns down. I'm not all peace, love, man. Put the flower in the gun barrel, man. No. We need you to arm yourself against the system that is coming after us. While they send you across the country to go round up some other family, while you're doing that, somebody dressed just like you from that side of the country who was brought over here is going to be rounding up your family. And before you realize it, it'll be too late. Hitchhiking, especially with animals. Until the plug is pulled on your Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's scary, man. It's scary to think about that at this point. How accustomed we are to life like this. And like my kids' generation, they're fucking useless. They want to sit. I mean, nothing in real life competes with that. The game system where they have all the fucking powers and abilities, and if they screw up, they just reset, try again, and all that shit. Like that's crack. Yeah, not the same species. I mean, she's what do we have? Yeah. I mean, we limit our kids' shit the best we can. I mean, don't. My situation being what it is means I can't be out there leading the charge and, going camping and climbing trees and all that shit like I'd like to. It really does. It's amazing how comfort is is one of the best weapons. What's funny is prior to me making the video about the hawks, I was seeing the hawks every day, multiple times a day. You'd hear them, they were flying around. Since then, I think I've only seen them once. Maybe it was twice, but where'd the hawks go? Did they just, they get their message, they give me the message, and then bounce when it went? Bounced when I figured it out? Anyway, back to Wallace Fard Muhammad. Let's see. Fard's mission, quote, to teach the downtrodden and defenseless black people a thorough knowledge of God and themselves. Like, where the fuck did he get his shit from? That's the thing. There's a big difference. People try to say, well, what about you? I don't try to teach you guys anything. I don't sit here and say, I have all the answers. You need to believe in this deity or this. I'm going to change your name like this motherfucker was changing people's names. I definitely think, hey, we need to all learn how to deal with our dysfunction. I think that's sort of that's my pray to the deity thing. I say, why don't we learn to deal with our dysfunction? But it's always so weird to me how, like, to think about how these guys gain power, gain prestige naturally. Like, look at how people respond to people that claim to have powers or claim to have connection. We're all very skeptical of that shit. Somebody starts telling you they're, well, strange though, because like somebody starts saying, you know, they can give you horoscopes, or you can get your palm read, or you can, you know, get your cards read, your tarot cards read, or some shit like that. And people are quick to jump into that. Less dogmatic religions that focus on reality, like Taoism. I don't have much of an opinion on that. I think if something was the truth, we would steal it, right? If something had it right, if something had figured it out, then they wouldn't be able to keep it from us. We would gravitate towards it, and you know, if we would steal it if we had to. And so, you know, I'm so concerned with fixing the problem so that this solution can emerge, right? Like, I don't think about those band-aids. I don't think about that stuff. And I know I'm not discounting it. I'm not saying that there's not a shit ton of people that do think about it, talk about it, all that stuff. And I'm sure there's validity to a lot of it. I just think we need to address the problem first and foremost. And until we address what the problem is, we're just going along like we should, like they want us to. Narcissism is interesting. It has some small parallel to modern science. I mean, modern science is a religion. If you're a scientist and you come up with stuff that goes against the grain, I mean, they've been killing them a lot lately. Even David Wilcock. So weird that David Wilcock was the one that recently died and was the most sort of truther famous guy. David Wilcock was a huge influence on me circa like 2010 or 11. Maybe earlier, 8 or 9. Like when I first, the whole Mayan thing, David Wilcock was a really interesting thing. The way that he spoke about the Mayans, and then his Edgar Casey connection was always strange to me, and it was fascinating, and I was very much interested in it, especially when I was young and still looking for the guidance. Interesting, it just popped in my head. My dad used to tell me that and this is part of what David Wilcock sort of said too. He just didn't say it like this, but that the end of the age, the 2012 thing, Mayan calendar, was the end of a cycle, and that was when we went from the age of Jesus to the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces to Aquarius. And I guess that was like from the astronomical or astrological aspect of things that actually happened at that time. We went into the age of Aquarius, we went out of the age of Pisces, and that is, you know, it's interesting.
All right, now happy 420, brother.
Brother.
Let's get hot.
He spoke it. Oh look, we have pedophile Jerry here. Guys, if you're watching, like, share, sub. 11 watchers, 9 likes. Doesn't make much sense. Good morning. Good morning. But the thought behind that is that Pisces is the age of Jesus. That's the age of man needing to be told what to do. Aquarius, the water, the flow, is man now no longer needing to be told what to do and knowing what to do. And it is interesting to think, like, I definitely paralleled that. Because 2012, like, that Mayan thing was really fascinating to me. I didn't think the world was going to end, but I definitely thought, like, what's it about? You know, you can't just discount the people that built the much more advanced society than they're given credit for. You know, Mexico is dotted with pyramids and structures and all that shit, and we just, you know, I guess we just downplay that because it's Mexicans, but there's more pyramids in the Americas than anywhere else, right? And so, what's up, kitty? What's up, other kitty? Oh, that's really weird. Where's cats coming from? Wow. Watch out for those cats. Hope she sees that one about to run out. And so I had, you know, David Wilcock was really interesting for me at that time. He was talking all about the Mayans and the cycles ending, and, you know, how, you know, we're seeing so much more because as we get closer and closer to that nexus point, that date, that 2012, December 21st, 2012, as we get closer and closer to that, it's like we're going in a spiral, and as you get closer and closer, the spiral happens faster and faster, which is why there are so many more things happening in the world that are sort of blowing people's minds. You know, the Norway spiral, how the Norway spiral is not consistently talked about, or even that Russian rocket that blew up and made that huge cross-like display. Like, the shit was crazy. Norway Spiral is one of my favorite ones. Norway Spiral from 2009. Multiple cameras show a beam of some sort coming from where there's a HARP facility, actually, in Norway, coming from a military base with a HARP facility at it. A blue beam being shot into the air, a spiral happening where it is literally a spiral from the inside out, and you can see it's spinning. And then at one point, what does it do? It spins the other way, and then the center of it opens up like a portal. Now, it's weird that the footage all seems to sort of stop. Like, there's so many weird aspects of it. And there's always weird shit to things, right? But the Norway spiral was interesting because, unlike just about any other thing that falls into that phenomenon category, the media machine immediately tried to be like, oh, that was just a failed rocket launch. Here's the footage of another one. And it shows like a rocket like spinning out and then doing like a half a spiral kind of thing and then crashing and blowing up. And it's if you see the Norway spiral footage and then you see the rocket footage and you think those two things are the same, I bet you probably believe in Jesus, you know. But these were all things that were happening, and these were happening a lot back then. Don't get any crop circles. Those are something that are just, I mean, usually, but you know, those are just some guys with a board out there. Well, why'd everybody stop doing it? And if you see crop circles and you think some guys made that with boards on a string, you know, real basic ones maybe, but some of the most intricate crop circles, the huge fucking crop circles that are these crazy ass geometric patterns, and you know, I mean, it's so impossible to think that that's just normal shit. But I remember after the 2012 thing happened, or didn't happen, nothing happened. I remember looking for David Wilcock and trying to be like, now what, guy? You know, you were saying a lot of shit was supposed to happen, and nothing happened. And there was a few of those times throughout the years where, you know, somebody would say something and for whatever reason it would resonate. And so, you know, you start paying attention a little more or whatever. And every single time you realize it's all just fake, dumb nonsense. And then that person is never really held accountable. Look at these goddamn fryers on here. 5 viewers and 10 likes. And it sure seems like there's at least 1, 2, 3... Well, at least 3 of the people on here right now commenting are Jewish. At least 3 of them are Jewish. Why do you think the Jews are so obsessed with me if I'm wrong about everything? Why don't they answer for anything I'm saying? Why don't they ever prove me wrong about anything? Why do they just cry about everything I'm doing? You need to be checked by a professional and treated, see? It's always mental stuff with them, because mental health is a funny joke. But it's what they were told to say. It's what they've been told to say from the beginning. We're gonna show you guys. Quick like. But first,
stop this song.
Just because I know how much you love it.
More important than what shows. They're
So auto-emancipation, it's interesting. So auto-emancipation, you don't show your sources. You don't show your sources. Auto-emancipation is a pamphlet written in German by Russian-Polish Jewish doctor and activist Leon Pinsker in 1882. So that's not true. It was anonymously written. It appears in the societal lexicon. Right? Suddenly, German, some printing company in Germany prints up all these pamphlets in 1882 and knows where all the Jews live, so somehow it's the pamphlets to the Jews. Like, right off the bat, you sort of have to question these, you know, these narratives. Enough to not realize that you saying, I dislike every stream, meaning you sit here and watch me every day for as long as I'm live. You click on, like, I'm that important to you, is so telling. I appreciate you being that stupid. But this pamphlet appears anonymously written in German. And then later on in life, it's attributed to a Russian, Polish, Jewish guy. Why would he have written something anonymously in German if he did in fact write that? Right off the bat, it's just stupid. He also says he's a doctor. He was a doctor because he had gotten his law degree, even though Jews weren't allowed to practice law in the area of Russia that he was in. And so he got his law degree, but then he just decided to become a doctor instead because Jews weren't allowed to practice law. So that, all the schooling it takes to become a lawyer, gets that done, and then somehow just decides he's a doctor. Doesn't have to go to school to be a doctor. Interesting. Just another interesting piece. A lot of times they love to bolster themselves and give themselves these false titles and they give themselves medals and shit like that as far as the stories are concerned. And as an activist in 1882, the first Aliyah began in 1881. That's the first official return to the homeland, first invasion of Palestine. Even though they'd been invading, I guess it was a negligible amount before that. But the 10,000 per year thing, that they end up doing, this is where it gets started. That's the first Aliyah in 1881. Strangely, they say the first Aliyah is 1881, but this is 1882. So it's weird that the first Aliyah was happening before this pamphlet. That is, it is considered a founding document of modern Jewish nationalism. Going back home, we are a nation, especially Zionism. Zionism. What's the definition of Zionism, real quick, just in case anybody's wondering? Zionism is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in the late 19th century Europe to establish and support a Jewish homeland through colonization in the region of Palestine, which roughly corresponds to the land of Israel in Judaism, itself central to friar history. Zionists wanted to create a friar state in Palestine with as much land, as many friars, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. Zionism was the main force behind the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 and remains the country's dominant ideology today. Sounds pretty awful. Back to the pamphlet. So I always think it's funny how they established that the pamphlet was written by this guy at this time. It's the founding document. Now, we're not going to tell you anything good, right? This isn't the time where we go, okay, we deserve Zionism, we deserve whatever it may be because we're so good about this, that, and the other. That's not what they talk about. The first thing he says is Pinsker discusses the origins of anti-Semitism and Pinsker discussed the origins of the first thing they talk about is not how good they are, but the origins of anti-Semitism. Two sentences in a row contradict each other. Is it a state or a country? I love when I love that aspect of things. I think they call themselves the State of Israel because they're the 51st United States. It kind of makes more sense to why we seem to give so much of a shit about them and why, the books seem to allow them to do what they do. Almost like they're part of the United States. When they are now, the military is incorporated together, or at least that's in the process of happening. I'm not sure how far along that is. What's up, credential commentary? who is the person that told me about Mishnah Nadah 5:4. I got to give you all that credit. But Pinsker discussed the origins of anti-Semitism. Right? Immediately talks about how we're being victimized. They don't like us. And if you look up the origins of anti-Semitism, it's well, we'll do that in just a second. I found an anti-Guy Williams YouTube channel. Yeah. There's the Jew crew, and then there's I think it's the anti-Guy. I think they're connected, though. They have the Guy Williams Sucks video up that doesn't actually do what I ask you guys to do, which is a talking head video, just like I'm doing, where you talk shit. And then I can show everybody that, hey, look, a real person disagrees with me. They're not Jewish, and they're talking shit. This is why they do this. Right? Instead, it's a clip video that would have taken hours to make. All these different little clips from different platforms, from Facebook, from Instagram, from YouTube, where I say little bits and pieces and they clip it. Just to think you have that ready, right? Like I couldn't do that for myself. And yet they have all these timestamp videos of mine so they could put together this video. And in between the clips of me are Jewish propaganda videos. Right? Have you ever heard of anything called Baruch Goldstein? Yeah, I've heard that name before. Baruch. And argued for friar self-rule and the development of a friar national consciousness. He wrote that friars would never become the equals of Goyim until they had a state of their own. He called on friar leaders to convene and address the problem. In the pamphlet, he describes anti-friar attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. It's you have mental problems. It's schizophrenia. This is what they've done since all the way back here. So I've clicked on this before, but this is how arrogant these fuckers are, right? Listen to this. This is if you go and you're like, hey, I want to know about this. I'm interested in what are the origins of anti-Semitism? Because apparently, history of anti-Semitism has its own Wikipedia page. Weird that history of anti-Semitism would have its own Wikipedia page, but it does. The history of anti-Semitism, defined as hostile actions or discriminations against Jews as a religious or ethnic group, goes back many centuries, being called the longest hatred. So it's such a bold claim, you know. And it's a pretty arrogant claim, especially when your version of why. Bring the phone to where I want. What's up, man? Yeah. Is there toilet paper in there for you? Okay. Stop by the gas station and grab a water. A big gallon of water. Okay. Do what you gotta do. Alrighty, I love you. Goodbye. Swear. Kosher bacon's on the line. Let's see. The history of anti-Semitism defined as hostile actions, discrimination against Jews, longest hatred. Jerome Chains identifies 6 stages in the historical development of anti-Semitism. This is so ridiculous, right? So ridiculous. It's code for meth, you got me. Stop and grab a thing of water is code for meth. Gotcha. See, it's always funny to me when they say shit like that, because obviously they're paying attention to the video, meaning they can hear the things I'm talking about. Clearly, they can hear what I'm talking about. They're clearly paying attention. So look at all the things they don't respond to. What motivates them to respond is something fucking stupid. But they're at least paying attention. So everything that I'm saying about them in particular, that they're not debunking or anything, they obviously can't. When they can say something, even if it's fucking stupid, they're gonna say it. They must not have anything to say, to the contrary. The Jewish Autonomous Oblast, yeah. It's really weird when people talk about how, Israel is the only Jewish state. Rathbone says it all the time. The only Jewish state, but it's not. The Jewish Autonomous Oblast was created before Israel. Almost as if the Russians saw what was happening and tried to fix it. Called them on their bluff and said, if this is really just about you having a land to call your own, here, we'll give you an even bigger one where you're not surrounded by people that hate you. It's beautiful countryside, mountains, it's picturesque. And they were like, no. Pre-Christian anti-Judaism in ancient, number 1, pre-Christian anti-Judaism in ancient Greece and Rome that was primarily ethnic in nature. They've been hated for 5,000 years. Number 2, Christian anti-Semitism in antiquity and the Middle Ages that was religious in nature and has extended into modern times. Man, how does one group get to be hated so much for not doing anything wrong? They don't do anything wrong. I'm not debunking anything I believe to be true. You should try. That's what I'm always trying to do. I'm always trying to debunk myself. That's why I'm reading this right now. I mean, this would be pretty dangerous for me to read if I was wrong. Right? I would be reading it cautiously. I would be like, worried it's going to say something that puts me on my ass and I'm not going to be able to respond and blah, blah, blah. But I read this as confidently as I read, the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I'm not worried about it even a little bit. If there is pre-Jewish Christians, they were hated before Jews. All religions have been hated. Yep. The why, though, doesn't ever get discussed. The why being who they are as people and their insistence on the circumcision rituals. That was a really contentious thing throughout the history of that we're given, at least. People after people were like, hey, you got to stop that, especially that mouth thing. No, you can't marry off 3-year-old girls after you rape them. Like, these are the reasons why they were kicked out of 109 countries in the past 1,000 years, if that's even true. But these are the things that never get brought up. Number 3, Muslim anti-Semitism that was, at least in its classical form, nuanced, where Jews had dhimmi status. Number 4, political, social, and economic anti-Semitism during the Enlightenment and post-Enlightenment Europe that laid the groundwork for racial anti-Semitism. Man, it's amazing how many different ways and variations of them being hated there are. And none of it has to do with who they are as people. Kind of like I have 5 viewers and 15 likes. Because that makes sense, right? Right? It doesn't sound like interference, censorship, throttling. It doesn't sound like that. It's just, think of all the different videos you've seen where the person has 4 viewers and 15 likes, 2,700 subscribers plus, 4 viewers and 15 likes. You ever seen that before? If you haven't seen that before, maybe that means it's time to start sharing. When you finally see something that's different in this sea of all the same, everybody that talks about Israel that's allowed to have a page, they all say the same shit. They talk about Israel. They don't tell you, like they specifically, you can't blame Judaism. Stop conflating Judaism and Zionism. Those are different things. LJ says it all the time. They all say the same shit. Stop conflating the two. They're different. I have some friends. I have some Jewish friends that are nice to my face. And again, with the focus being on genocide, they can go, oh, and we hate genocide too. And they go, yeah, my Jewish friends hate genocide. But if you go, yeah, but what about the metzitzia? What about the Mishnah and the Das? They always pretend stupid. No, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, so now that you don't know, but let me tell you, now that I tell you, do you still belong to the organization that practices this? Because that's where it all comes back to. That's why they want you focused on the genocide. Because the genocide is supportable. They can support it. They can say, look, we're the good guys. We support it. I used to watch a guy who had 30,000 subs, and he would get 10 viewers max. You have more likes than viewers because people scroll in, like, and then leave because you're boring. That makes sense. People scroll in, they like the video for whatever, because it's so boring. Yeah, I know that's how that always works. I'm always like, when I'm watching videos, man, this video is super boring. Let me throw a like on it real quick. That's how that works, right? It has nothing to do with censorship. I'm so good at this, I have multiple haters that live for me. You being one of them. That live for me. If I go live at any time of the day, they're here for as long as I'm live, crying and begging for my attention. If the haters are this loyal, imagine how loyal my viewers would be if they were allowed to see it. 2 viewers, 15 likes. Are we going to drop down to 0? You're going to drop us to 0? Number 5, racial anti-Semitism that arose in the 19th century and culminated in Nazism. Isn't that weird that racial anti-Semitism arose at the same time as their nationalism and their Zionism? Almost like in response to Zionism, people were like, hey, these fucking assholes. Isn't that weird how that works? Number 6, contemporary anti-Semitism, which has been labeled by some as the new anti-Semitism. Dun dun dun. Always have their thumb right in the middle of social media. What do you expect? This is exactly what I expect. That's why I tell you guys about Act.io and Rise App and Team Jorge, and I provide you with the evidence to back up the claim. I mean, clearly they don't register as viewers on here. Because there's clearly more than, well, now I have 0. But there's more than, at the time I was saying it, I had 3. So now I have 0 viewers. We got down to 0. There's clearly more than 0 people watching. They just don't seem to show up. You're right about the Jews about 50% of the time and wrong about literally everything else. Yeah, that makes sense. So you mean the killing pedos thing? I'm wrong about that? Gosh, that's a weird thing for you to say. Interesting. Interesting how that works. You'd think for somebody that's wrong about everything they say, you would think there would be like actual argument to the contrary. But that never seems to happen. The number is wrong. Yes. See, I see ya. I sees ya. Credcom. Sounds like a RoboCop name. Chains suggest that these 6 stages could be merged into 3 categories: ancient anti-Semitism, which was primarily ethnic in nature; Christian anti-Semitism, which was religious; and the racial anti-Semitism of the 19th and 20th centuries, which is what? Like, oh, I don't. Is that what they're claiming? I mean, why argue against anyone so stupid to say shit like submarines being fake and a flat earth? It's totally pointless and trivial. But yet I come here day after day after day begging for your attention in the comments. And I'll say anything but argue against what you're saying. Yep, that makes so much sense. You'll say all kinds of dumb shit that doesn't matter, that's trivial and whatnot. But anything that would actually give you any sort of credibility, that's where you draw the line. That totally, thanks for clearing things up for us. That totally makes sense. Now I totally understand why you're here every day for hours at a time. It's because I'm wrong about everything, and it's all trivial to the point where you're not going to actually debunk anything I have to say. You're just going to say dumb shit. And actually, right now, you're trying to be all smart guy serious. So you're debunking, at least attempting to debunk something I'm saying. You're failing at it, but you're attempting. So you're actually engaging in this trivial nonsense. But any other time you wouldn't do that. Gosh, you're so smart. Why do you suppose they do that to you? Because I'm right. You asked to answer the question. Why do you think it happens? Why do you think you stumbled across a feed that works like nobody else's? Anybody can explain it. Anybody can make it make sense to me. I'd love to hear it. No, people are just coming through. They're scrolling, and then they like it, and then they leave because you're boring. They like it because you're boring. They like the video that you're doing because you're boring. 3 viewers, 15 likes. You see it all the time. I've personally never seen anything like it, but it happens all the time. Makes sense, right? I love how they always draw the same line too. Like I've had this conversation so many times with so many different profiles that claim the one thing they're not going to do is explain anything or debunk anything. I'm wrong, I'm crazy, I'm dumb, they don't know why anybody would watch me, and you know, they're not going to argue against anything I have to say. They're just going to say everything else. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. It's so predictable. And it's so them. It's like this is how they argue. It's how you see Shmuley argue. You know, Shmuley will say the dumbest fucking shit, and then when you address what he's saying, he'll be like, well, there. See, you just said that, and I'll be like, no, I just repeated what you said. No, you said it. Those were your words. You said it. Guy's like, what are you talking about? No, I was repeating your thing before addressing it. Can you address? And of course, the whole time he's talking, Shmuley's talking. No, that's not. I was here. I saw it. You're gonna have to play the tape back. Go see it. You said it. When you're right, you could say your point 15 times and you'll still say it. Every time the person gives you the opportunity for you to make them look stupid, you're gonna take it. You're not gonna cry. If you don't like something, I certainly don't. If I don't like something, I certainly don't keep coming back to it. Yeah, but if it's so entertaining, like me, when I call them pedophiles, oh, it's so funny. When I read their stuff and I expose how stupid and disgusting they are, they think that's hilarious. 99% of the viewers you get here are laughing at you. Yep, that's what it is. Again, why would there be so many Jewish people here to begin with? They got nothing else going on? They got nothing else going on in their world that they have me to focus on? There's not a bigger threat out there? Like, if they're doing this, why wouldn't they be on a bigger, more prominent page? Why wouldn't they use their powers for trolling against somebody out there who's pushing this anti-Semitic rhetoric? It's so fucking it would be so comical if it didn't, if it wasn't them and their control and all of their shit, right? I bet they really want to know how much you really do know. Yeah, well, I think I'm a great barometer. I happen to be really good at talking about things just before everybody else starts talking about it. So they can watch me, they can keep me under wraps, and they can see, they can formulate plans of attack through me. And every once in a while, they'll check, they'll take the block down and just see what my numbers will be. Right now, I have 0 watchers and 16 likes because that makes sense. If you're watching, like, share, and sub, even though there's only, now it's 2, now we went back up to 2. Even though there's only 2 of you here, apparently. Well, now we have 17 likes. That's how this works, right? Weeds in that blunt. Hi, New Zealand. Weeds in the blunt. That's the weed that's in the blunt. There's a lot that goes on here. But they're, at the end of the day, they allow me to have what I have. And I'm sure it frustrates them. But they're judging how the people respond to what I'm saying. I think, they're adjusting things accordingly. Like, I can't imagine going to a feed where the person only has 2 viewers and 17 likes. Can't imagine that to begin with. But the person is reading other people's comments, but skipping over mine. And no matter what I say, the person just keeps not reading my shit. I'm not going to keep going back to that page and commenting over and over again, crying, begging, pleading. Pay attention to me, please. Got to get those points. Yes. I might partake of some kratom periodically. But yeah, that's all I do. And I definitely no longer smoke cigarettes because those are fucking nasty. Hey, look at us, man. We're at 5 whole views. 5 viewers and 17 likes. Like, share, sub. Oh, the hog's back. I heard it. I don't see it anywhere now. Somewhere. The birds are running away. The other birds. I gotta look that up. Let's see. But I don't want to get away from this. Yeah, let me keep reading this. Come on, Big Bird, let's see ya. In practice, it is difficult to differentiate anti-Semitism from the general ill treatment of nations by other nations before the Roman period. But since the adoption of Christianity in Europe, anti-Semitism has undoubtedly been present. So that's basically them just saying, it doesn't show up in the historical record because you can't differentiate it. It was disguised. It just looked like anything else because they don't exist in the historical record. Their cult was created in the 1800s and inserted in the shit, but it's not going to be in everything. The Islamic world has historically seen the Jews as outsiders, which is why, again, you would think, why don't we go directly in the middle of that and take over a place and then cry about us being rejected? We're violent, we spit on people, we're really pretty awful. Must be nice to be in your 20s. Helen, Cali, even in the morning. I miss Cali every day. It gets hot, but it's a different kind of heat. It's humid heat. Cali is dry heat. Dry heat is way nicer. Humid heat is just sticky and gross. Jesus, you're 40 and you're still doing, you must not have kids then, right? One of the main reasons I couldn't do drugs right now is because of my kids. If I was all fucked up, I'd just have a bad trip. I'd have a bad time. I'd pizza when I was supposed to french fry just thinking about my kids. 5 kids, Jesus Christ. You are a professional, my man. Of course they are. They're terrified of me. Terrified. If you hate them, join the fight. Like, share, sub. We need to eradicate this cancer. You don't just leave part of the cancer there and be like, man, I hope it doesn't get worse. Of course it's going to get worse. It's cancer. Oldest is 23. And keep it together. Jesus. Better than me. I couldn't do it. Acid and I have a strange relationship, so I just couldn't even. I would hate to be dosed, but I don't know how well my head would handle it. I get superpowers and shit. Acid's weird. I'm still waiting for those flashbacks they promised us. Let's see. The coming of the scientific and industrial revolutions of the 19th century Europe, in 19th century Europe bred a new manifestation of anti-Semitism based as much upon race as upon religion, which culminated in the Holocaust that occurred during World War II. The formation of the State of Israel in 1948 caused new anti-Semitic tensions in the Middle East. I mean, it's just so weird, right? Like, to forcibly take people's land and force a violent, disgusting, entitled outsider into the mix and not expect there to be any sort of pushback is just strange. Our exaggeration of those who jump trip. I was a kid having kids, yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah, 17 is way too young to have a child. Jesus Christ. Look at all these different periods they have of anti-Semitism, all the different brands of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism in the English-speaking world. William D. Rubenstein, a respected author and historian, outlines the presence of anti-Semitism in the English-speaking world in one of his essays with the same title. Jesus Christ. It's just so stupid. Here's the Catholicism reason. I don't care about that. The capitalism reason. In post-Napoleonic England, when there was a notable absence of Jews, Britain removed bans on usury and money lending. Right, because, it could be done by reputable, decent people and not people that are going to scam people. And Rubenstein attests that London and Liverpool became economic trading hubs, which bolstered England's status as an economic powerhouse. So, eliminating them from the equation while still doing some of the things they do, but doing it ethically, like, not having crazy interest rates and shit like that, but still loaning money, created one of the world's superpowers. They were able to build themselves up to be one of the world's superpowers. That kind of sounds like a good reason, doesn't it? Friars were often associated with being money makers and financial bodies in continental Europe. So it is significant that the English were able to claim responsibility for the country's financial growth and not attribute it to Jews. That's fucking huge. This is such a huge piece. Right? The idea that we need them, that we need their contribution, if you can call it that. How were these dumb Goyim able to do all this without them and do it so well they become a world superpower? It is also significant that because friars were not in the spotlight financially, it took a lot of the anger away from them. and as such, some anti-Semitism was somewhat muted in England. You mean when they weren't allowed to be the assholes they are and had to be nice? They couldn't just hold the power over people? I mean, this is remember, this is their shit. This everything on Wikipedia is balanced and Zionist in nature, according to Naftali Bennett. They control this narrative so that everything coming out of it is balanced and Zionist in nature. So this is their narrative. Might not be true, it's the truth they want us to have. It is said that friars did not rank among the economic elite of many British cities in the 19th century. In the 1800s, the friars weren't in power yet. See, that's what I mean. Good morning. YouTube completely hid this, says Matt. Matt, you're lying. Matt's lying right now, right, guys? My page is not interfered with. Matt, who wanted to be here, who apparently has been trying to be here but couldn't get through, is just lying when he says that. Now you have this dumbass quoting Bible shit. That makes sense. Again, the significance in this is that British Protestants and non-Jews felt less threatened by friars because they were not imposing on their prosperity and were not responsible for the economic achievements of their nation, or or the downfall or the lack thereof. Obviously, excluding them freed the society up, and it excelled. It excelled tremendously. So the hatred for them wasn't there because they weren't holding the keys and keeping people from being prosperous. It's funny how this is worded, but that's what they're saying. They weren't the focus of people's ire because they weren't in any sort of control. When they had control, shit was terrible. People were starving. People were suffering. As soon as they weren't allowed to be there anymore, everything just picked up. People didn't have time to worry about that. But see, that's the point, though. At this point, they go, oh, well, that cancer is just a small little cancer. Let's not worry about it. Let's focus on the goals ahead of us. And by leaving the cancer alone, letting it fucking fester silently in the background, look where we are now because of it. Matt, this song's for you, man. If you're gonna lie, lie big, because we know you're lying. Matt, why are you lying about my feed, man? The reason the numbers are what they are is because I'm boring. People just scroll through, they like it real quick, and then they bounce. Right. 2 viewers, 19 likes, totally makes sense. If I scroll down, there's literally a friar saying how bad Palestine is, yet YouTube does not understand me at all. Oh, you're saying a different video? I mean, every 3, so if I'm on Facebook and I'm watching videos and I just scroll down, to the next video, every 3 or 4 videos I'll get a commercial for something friar. Whether it's a synagogue or it's a, fight for this or a Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens is shit. I wish she would come to my neck of the woods so I could go protest her. No, it's the fact that it knows more about you than your algorithm alone. They know everything about you.
Starting in the mid-1800s, the lie big
In the mid
and
1800s,
spent
the economic elite of the
Pixar cars
of
into
the
their
19th
products
century. Again,
to show
the
us
significance
what
in
a
this is that British Protestants and non-Jews. Oh, yeah, we just read this.
call it Targaryen
Albert
or
Lindman also proposes in the introduction to his book, Anti-Semitism, a history that Jews.
is the best resource available to see it.
Seriously? You woke up 8 minutes before?
Lie big cards and see the big lie for yourself.
You woke up 8 minutes before you're allowed to go on? Right.
You wanna know how I woke up?
With your eyes opening?
Curled up in a ball because Tula and Dave took all my bedrooms.
Yeah, well, you let them. I wouldn't let them.
We all just know that before we had any details.
Why don't you make a video to go with some of your music? There's plenty of videos for the music all over Facebook. It's the bottom, the links in the bottom, in the description at the bottom of the description. Lots of those are our songs. Come on, guy.
That cover has been blown since we were forced to take the shot. And Charlie Kirk was a plot device to move things forward. But what was that black spot on his collar?
Assumed social positions such as money lending that were inherently precarious and tension creating. Precarious. I mean, you don't just you don't just be like, I'm going to be a money lender, and then suddenly you have money to lend people. That's not a. They're sort of downplaying the significance of that. How does anybody just become a money lender? You would have to have a lot of money to begin with. And they were so poor, they weren't allowed to have this, that. So how could they ever get into the money lending business?
The only thing that works is when we kirk the jerks and be the Goyim pride that we are meant to be. So back to Charlie's shirt and whatever that thing was. Call out what our system does.
Linderman believes that money lending is inevitably riddled with tension. So as long as Jews were money lenders, they would always be at the center of the problem and synonymous with fraught financial affairs. Well, again, if they're cheating, like that's not how it works. If you're the thing that's helping people, like if you're the money lender and you say, okay, I'm gonna do the money lending, I'm gonna take 2% back on the return. I have to be able to live, so I'm gonna get 2% back on my investment every time I lend you money. I think people would be okay with that. You know? I think when you're talking about reality and reasonableness, then people are gonna be okay with that. But I doubt that's what it was.
So is his death. I just want to kirk all of our enemies. In blue and white with Ben Shapiro energy.
Stop fighting. Mom and Dad, stop fighting. Where did they get the gold to make the ark? The Ark of the Covenant? I mean, where did they get the gold to make the tabernacle? And, you know, I was just reading it the other day about God commanding Moses to build the tabernacle in his name, and that Moses is to accept gifts for God, you know, so then he can then build the he could build the tabernacle, and he was to accept gold, gifts of gold, silver, and copper. And you hear these narratives and they just throw the shit out there like it was just no big deal. Like, this is metallurgy. How are you getting workable, usable gold, workable, usable copper, silver? These aren't just products that just exist. You don't just, you've been playing too much Skyrim if you think you just hit the ground a few times and suddenly you have gold bars in your fucking inventory.
Disappeared like Bill's erection when she's undressing since she's no teen on Epstein Island. And just like Charlie's quest for blessings, preaching starts and ends with violence. But did he really die when and where they say? And who were those two guys sending?
They try to make it sound like they're just the victims because they were in the money lending business. So that just made them, the center of attention in the bad way. Man, if you're the people that are giving the money that helps the society grow, like, people are going to appreciate you. It's like saying, oh, they hate us because we have the grocery store. They want all the food, but they hate us because we have it. Like, well, don't you sell it to them and take care of them? No. There's a drone. Where? Constitutional government. The third major factor which contributed to the lessening of anti-Semitism in Britain was the establishment of a constitutional government, something that was later adopted and bolstered in the United States. Weird, right? Why did the United States adopt and use the same fucking system that Britain did when, we were trying to establish fucking freedom from them? Huh. The constitutional government is one which has a written document that outlines the powers of government in an attempt to balance and protect civil rights. Yeah, because if you write this shit down, that means you have to live by it. One viewer, 19 likes. Totally makes sense.
You deny since you are hell-bent on insisting that Earth is a globe. And like giving up breathing for lead.
Well, I hope that makes your head explode. Where do they get the wood to make the cross of crucified trees? Trees don't grow that big over there. I claim the Romans crucified by the thousands. True. Man, you must have the best fucking, computer phone in the world to be able to see that shit. After the English Civil War, the Protectorate, 1640 to 1660, and the Glorious Revolution of 1688, it's weird because all these things are like these tumultuous times, and you hear about these narratives, but they just don't make sense, man. When you really start putting it into practical purposes, that these people who lived in shanty shacks, but of course could build Capitol buildings and post offices that look like castles and all these buildings and shit, that skyscrapers, and all of this in a year, maybe two, and but they live in little shanties, and they're constantly fighting in these wars, think about the organization it takes to do all that. And they're doing this before there's any real form of communication, right? They're sending messages by pigeon back and forth and shit. It's stupid. Hey, man, if you saw something, you saw something. Wish I could tell you. I know I have 2 viewers and 19 likes. It just changed from 0. If you're watching, like, share, and sub. They're clearly fucking with this feed. Or on the other hand, please, if you know of the other person that has 2 or 3 viewers, 0 viewers, and 19 likes, please let me check them out. I want to see what they do. I want to see what they talk about. I've never seen anything like this before.
Sharing his soul.
Oh, look, the Jews came back.
Man,
Oh,
your God's using to prove you wrong. Prove the bit.
we're so lucky.
That your God is pissed.
The Bill of Rights specifically outlined laws to protect British civil liberties as well. Thus, it is not surprising that having a constitutional government with liberal principles minimized to some extent the anti-Semitism in Britain. So basically, everything's going really, really well. The country is more prosperous than it's ever been. If you look at if you look at the engraving of Old London Bridge from 1620, you see something that rivals today in its splendor.
Just like your good book says.
Old London Bridge used to be like prime real estate. It had big giant fucking houses on it. And it's like, somebody asked me the other day if I could go back in time, who would I go see and who would I want to hang out with or whatever. And it's like, I would want to go see shit like the Old London Bridge. I'd want to go see the Seven Wonders of the World. I want to go back and see a World's Fair. It's not any person per se. I want to see what we were so capable of doing. The World's Fairs make no fucking sense. And, you know, I could go into talking about these all day, but then...
Petty as you'll ever hear, TBG. And I love it.
Then we're not talking about the real... the problem.
You are someone, understand the power you wield.
You were right. Edie? Or 80? Or I don't know how you say that. Yeah, there's no such thing as God. It's a Jewish fairy tale. Very much. And if you agree, like, share, sub. If you disagree, dislike, share, and sub. Help out. Yeah. Let's see. In further attempts to minimize anti-Semitism within government, the United States Declaration of Independence embraced the liberal principles. So it kind of seems like that's what I was saying. So it seems like everything was going really well, and they weren't included. And so they figured out a way to make it all about everyone else. This is what they still do to this day, but it's really their benefit. You know, it's like the PC movement, right? Who benefited more from the PC movement than they did? Women, women definitely benefited. You can't just slap them on the ass anymore. You can't, you know, you can't just mistreat them or treat them overtly unequal, unequal, whatever. Black people, you know, it's better for black people, but it's definitely not fixed. Racism is very, very strong in this country, especially amongst the police and the just us system. So it's like, who benefited the most from PC? Well, I know one group exists in a bubble that, you know, nobody's allowed to even talk about them. You know, we're not even allowed to talk about, we're not supposed to be talking about shit like Curious Joel and Lakewood, where they have their 20 kids and they're all on welfare and they live in $1 million houses and, you know, shit just don't make no sense. Zios benefit from all chaos and instability in various nations. Very much. Created the trans corporations to... I get being gay and says body modification is demonic. Uh-oh, you sound Christian. You start talking about demonic and shit, you sound Christian. Dude, to give a shit about how people feel, like, sure, people might have whatever they got going on. And that's worth looking into, and that's worth dealing with, and that's also worth getting over your own bullshit. Like, I couldn't care less. You know, you want to be somebody that fucks yourself all up? I'm sorry whatever you dealt with happened, But if that's what you want to do, as long as you're not hurting other people against their will and you're not fucking with children, I don't really care. You know, if it makes you feel better to make yourself look like a fucking hockey puck, then, you know, who am I to say anything? And I don't give a shit about fucking pronouns either. You want to be called a she? I'll call you a she. Am I going to say you're a woman? No. No. I think you are something else, and that's what we need to embrace. The only reason we're not is because of all the faux bullshit. But we need to, you know, you're not a woman, you're a trans woman. You don't get to be a woman. You don't get to say, you know, go through fucking puberty and periods and, you know, being inherently weaker. You know, that fear of walking through the you know, down the street at nighttime knowing that you're just a tiny girl, you're just small, somebody could fuck you up. You don't have that. You don't get to say you're a woman and you didn't experience any of that shit. But I couldn't care less about trans. I think trans is great. Be all the trans you want to. You know, and people say keep it away from the schools. Why? If you think seeing a trans person will make kids be trans, then you should want to help me start my Doctors Read Books to Kids program. Because if all it takes is somebody dressed a certain way to read to some kids and they'll become that thing, then fuck yeah, let's have doctors read to them all the time. If your kid is drawn to trans, that's because you got a trans kid. Sorry that makes you uncomfortable, but I'm sure they're pretty uncomfortable too, especially having a bigoted father. You know what's always weird too is like so many times you get some really, really hot girls that fuck themselves all up. And I can't help but think, you know, it has to do with some sort of abuse they experienced, making themselves less attractive. But, you know, fucking A, man, when it comes to would I rather have a bunch of penguins running around me, believing themselves fucking superior, God's chosen people, or some motherfucker with a bunch of piercings in their face who's like, hey, can't we all just get along? Like, I'm going with the pincushion all day long. Trans is an abomination. Yeah. Let me guess, you're a white guy who probably jerks off to trans porn. You know, that's what you always seem to find with these people. Like, it's just so crazy. Yeah, that guy, he wants to be a female. Oh my God. Is there a worse thing in this world than a guy who wants to be a female? Gosh, I can't think of anything worse than that. I can't think of anything that deserves my attention more than a guy who wants to be a female. It's like how all the time when you hear people crying about gay stuff, they're never talking about two hot chicks making out. They never have a problem with two hot chicks making out. They've never been at a bachelor party or some shit where, you know, two of the strippers start fooling around with each other and they're like, oh my gosh, stop this right now. This is an abomination. Stop it, you dirty whores. I was very upset about the whole whore thing, but I was willing to deal with it as long as you didn't touch each other. How dare you find happiness from something that I don't enjoy? And if you think like gay is a choice, you're telling us something, right? You're letting us know that you have a whole bunch of gay stuff going on in your head that you choose not to address. And I'm really sorry. I think you'd probably be a happier person if you did it. But anybody who's straight doesn't think gay is a choice. There's nothing, there's no put in prison, there's no plane crash, desert island kind of thing. There's no situation where I'm going to be like, hey, why don't I be gay for a little while? It's the same thing with pedo shit. It's not natural. Do you understand when a planet or nature takes its course? Trans is artificial to the human body. That's why zionism destroy the... What are you talking about? Yep. People aren't born in the wrong body. That doesn't happen all the time. So stupid. The reason the friars push it like they do is because it's a fantastic distraction for insecure pieces of shit. Right? They push it like that because they know how the reaction it gets. You know, if it's something that's acceptable, they don't push it. They move on to the next thing. There's a reason why Pride Month is in June, right after Passover takes place every year. Passover is not the same week every year. It's within a few weeks, but by June it happens, and they know that shit. Right? You can't disprove me. Disprove? What are you proving? You're saying dumb shit. People are born who they are. People have always been born in the wrong body. I know somebody that is fucking clearly born in the wrong body. Name was David, goes by Daisy now. And there's nothing about Daisy that is manly in any shape or form except for her voice and her fucking facial hair. Outside of that, her hands, her mannerisms, the things she does in life, the way she moves when you're not, when she's not trying, when it's just the way she moves. It's female. Again, if you think any of this is a choice, it is for you. Nobody's sitting there going, I think I'm going to make my life a lot harder. I just want to make my life a lot harder, put myself in danger, have to deal with a bunch of bigotry and all that, just for the fucking fun of it. I just feel like it. No, it's overwhelming. It's beyond your control. You don't feel right existing in a, quote, normal situation. It's so stupid to think that that would be a thing of focus for you. That somehow trans people are somehow infringing upon your life in some way, shape, or form. The most dangerous people in the world, well, are the friars who control, but are the Christians. Christians are the ones that are constantly fucking doing mass shootings and shit like that, kidnapping people, having fucking pedophile rings and all this other shit. Now, friars fall into that category too, but you definitely can't tell me about the story of the trans organization that moved fucking pedophiles across the country until they got caught too many times. So then they moved them to their own special country in Europe that doesn't have an extradition treaty and let them live out their fantasy there. That doesn't exist. Let's see. Why did trans operations start in Germany, and why were the Zios who pushed it? Because Germany was like way ahead of the fucking times, technologically. Like they had the technology to, everywhere just couldn't do operations like that because they fucking wanted to. You had to have the technology to do it. And because Semitism has always been a thing, Semitism is a much older word than anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism was coined in Germany against that exact thing in the 1880s or so. Against their policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. That's what Semitism is. Policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. So because Germany was ahead of the times, they were doing things. But again, knowing what a distraction it causes, knowing how insecure average white guy is, you know, of course they're going to get behind something that distracts you from them. While they're actually raping children, they have you thinking that a guy wearing a dress wants to rape children. Even though you'll go worship a guy who's wearing a dress every Sunday, who rapes children, you know, it's the trans people that are the problem. And the thing is, see how when you say stuff, like I address what you say and then smash your argument? You don't actually address what I'm saying. You'll just jump to something else. Obviously, you have some bigotry inside you that clearly you're not real comfortable with. You know, for me, trans is fucking gross and weird. To make me be trans, that would be gross and weird. For you to do it, right on, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. I don't have any trans people trying to force anything on me. Never had a trans person try to make me wear a dress or, you know, anything. Just anything stupid. Never had trans people secretly invite me over for dinner or whatever it is. And then when I get there, they ambush me with some fucking goofy ass book about, did you know that Jesus and the blah blah? Nope, never happened. Trans people generally just want to exist. Be left the fuck alone. It's interesting how they seemingly stand out to you so much. You know, and you can't give a reason why outside of, it's not natural. It's not normal. What kind of crazy shit is that? Can you tell me about anything trans before Jews created the concept of human destruction and regret? Like, have you ever seen Shakespeare? Have you ever seen George Washington walking around in his fucking tights and goofy ass Captain Crunch outfit? Powdered wigs and all kinds of... Yeah, trans has been around forever. Forever, you goofball. Like, talk about something that you're focused on that makes people like me look stupid, right? You start saying, oh, Jews created transgender. Like, people aren't going to take you seriously. You sound like a fucking moron. Are you talking about Mishnah Nadav 5:4 and how, you know, 3-year-old children get raped and then become wives, and less than 3 years old, it's like placing a finger in? Is that your focus? No, you're talking about how they created transgender. To do what again? Are you one of these people that believes everyone and all the men in Hollywood are women and all the women are men? Somehow at birth they were like, this person's going to be a very talented singer. Let's make them, this boy is going to be a very talented singer. Let's make it a girl. This girl is going to be a very talented actor. Let's make it a muscly man. Talk about dumb shit that they put out there to keep you distracted by shit, and so you don't focus on the real problem and you focus on dumb shit. So destroying your body is a good choice. So have you looked into how many trans regret their choices? Yeah, I bet you have. I bet you've done an extensive amount of research into this topic, or you saw a video with somebody else like you who said something stupid, and maybe they interviewed somebody. That's like when you have those guys that are like, you know, I went to gay camp. I went to Christian camp, and they got rid of all the gay in me. I'm not gay at all anymore. Like they climbing in your windows, they're snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So you better hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife. That dude, like, tried to come out that he was, you know, he was gay, but he dabbled in it a little bit, but he's not gay anymore, and he married some broad, and like, you believe that dude's not gay? Oh, it's so stupid. So stupid. Yeah, you can find arguments for just about anything. I think most trans, you have no idea who the fuck they are. There's lots of trans people that you know nothing about. Don't regret anything. Trans is a bit weird though. Of course it is. Of course it is. They know it's weird. But it's no more weird than people that like to fuck feet. People like fucking feet. That's weird as shit. People do it. Do they get discriminated against because they like fucking feet? No. You know how weird regular sex is? You know how weird it is to think like a female puts her dick or your dick in her mouth? Do you know how weird that is? That she would enjoy doing that? Ugh. Thankfully she does, but ugh. That's weird as shit. Heterosexual sex is not great. Like, I love when people act like, you know, if they're the third wheel somewhere, and there's they're with two people that are like really into each other, and they just keep fooling around, like you're trying to talk to them, but they're ignoring you, and they keep, you know, spontaneously going into makeout sessions. It's not like every time they start kissing, you're like, oh, that's great, look at that. Heterosexuals, oh, that's beautiful right there. I like that. No, I do. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, yeah, rubber ass a little bit. Oh, I love those noises. I love those noises. Man. Can you make some more kiss noises, please? That's why there are tons of police at pride events because of hateful people. Exactly. People who are jealous. You know? People who are jealous, one, because you can be who you want to be. Like, they can't come out of the closet and be who they want. But the other thing that really bothers them is that you are just you. Like, they walk around miserable. You know, they're miserable in their lives. They hate their wife if they have one. They hate their job. And they're white, and they're you know, average height, they have a good job, and they have all these reasons why they shouldn't hate their life, but they do. And then they see you, who is supposed to be ashamed of themselves. I mean, if you're gonna live, then you should be, you know, you should be in the dark about it. I don't want to know about you. And here you are walking around fabulous. Hey, look at me. Hey, I'm fucking awesome. Look at me. They wish they could feel like that for a day. They wish they could walk around for just one day in their life and feel as awesome as you feel. And they're jealous as fuck of that shit. Can you imagine going to a fucking gay pride parade who, you know, gay doesn't want anything negative to happen to you. Gay doesn't consider themselves superior. Maybe they do, but, you know, that in that superior because we're hetero, like not anything outlandish you wanna subjugate people or whatever. And you're gonna go to the parade, the pride parade, and then you're gonna complain about it happening. I brought my children to this thing. How dare you do that in front of children? What's wrong with you? It's because they targeted underage demographics. What are you talking about? Nobody targeted underage demographics. Nobody did that. It's because the next generation that didn't grow up with the scrutiny and fucking bullshit that the previous generation did, it's because, you know, with more freedom, you get younger and younger participants. Again, I'm going to address all of your arguments and crush them. Let's see if you do the same thing. You should really look into why they're getting noticed by Native Americans, kicked out of 110 nations for these forms of instability practices. Oh, is that it? It's not about the circumcision rituals. It's not about the Mishnah Nada raping children. It's not about their usury policies and all that shit. It's because they were trying to bring trans in. Wow, man. Wow. That's the kind of delusion that I'm constantly compared to. And I have to like be, no, I'm not that kind of stupid nut job truther conspiracy theorist. Like that's some goofy ass shit. They're trying to make people trans to make things unstable. Right, because it's the trans people that are making instability happen. It's not all of the white people. The 69% of the population, only 55% if you take out the white people with Hispanic in their backgrounds who consider themselves white, but then it's only 55%. But it's that 69% of the population, man. You're just scared to be honest, so you don't give as much as you take. I don't. What? Again, it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. What? You're not even making arguments anymore. The straight hate community hates us because they choose to live in fear. Yeah, I mean, again, every time big shit happens with the gay stuff, always look at Israel and look at what they're covering up. It's just a great way to distract people. You know, there's no reason. I mean, it's one thing if you try to pull the religious card, but if you don't play the religious card, it really doesn't make any sense. We don't allow artificial practices in the natural world. What are you talking about? So stupid. So you're communicating with me right now using an artificial process, wouldn't you say? Aren't you on a phone talking to me through multiple different, you know, apps and shit like that? Like, this is an artificial process, man. We don't allow that in this world. Sounds so stupid. And this is why, again, it's so frustrating. This is why Nick Fuentes is so big, right? Because he's saying the stuff about Jews, but he's also a dumbass, bigot, fucking Christian freak. And so they can always say that. Like, you know, he's saying that stuff about Jews, but look what else he says. So he must, you know, it's obvious he's lying about this stuff, so he must be lying about this too, right? Trans people are peaceful and want to live our lives. Trans people chose an artificial approach to humanity. What the fuck? Like, that is some psychotic shit right there, right? An artificial approach to humanity. But you literally can't describe it before Nazi Germany. You literally can't describe it. Did you not hear me say Shakespeare? I mean, seriously, there is so much trans shit before, like, people, it wasn't trans because it didn't have a name. People just existed. And, you know, as soon as we start talking about pre-this and that narrative, that's just bullshit. It's the reason Talmud says it's okay for us to marry someone as young as 3. Because of trans? What does trans have to do with marrying someone that's 3 years and 1 day old? I've actually read the passage, Mishnah Nada 5:4. I keep bringing it up. It has nothing to do with trans anything. It's about straight men raping little girls and then calling them their wife. What the fuck are you talking about? Trans is literally a tribute to Moloch. You can ask anyone who developed the concept. I love how this guy keeps telling me to ask people. Ask anyone. Yeah, I'm not ignorant because I could present statistics. Many want to reverse their surgeries. It's funny how you talk about what you could do, but you don't. I love when people tell me about how, like when you talk about the Talmud, but you don't actually provide the reference. You just show how little actual research you've done. Absolutely, Kimberly. He's not fighting for you. He just doesn't want to get canceled. Yeah, that's why I talk about the Jews all the time. What? Oh my God. I could just picture this guy right now, you know, little fucking weirdo, balding and shit. In stupidity, not really fighting for you, no hate, just saying. He's right. He's right. It's not fighting for the I mean, actually, I do consider myself as someone fighting for the trans community. But it's because I'm fighting against the same stupidity that permeates everything. But I'm absolutely a fighter for trans people. More people need to be. The voices need to be louder, especially against this level of stupidity that we're dealing with. If you're watching, like, share, sub. You know, if you feel the same way, if you feel like, you know, people deserve to be people, as long as you're not hurting somebody against their will. Gotta always say that, because there are people that like to be hurt, weirdos. And you're not fucking with children, I don't give a fuck what you do. You can fuck anything you want, like, person-wise. No fucking animals. Even though in the Talmud, if you engage in bestiality, you disqualify the animal from being sacrificed upon the altar. And the animal is stoned due to your act. They kill the animal by throwing rocks at it in a little pit. They put it in a pit and they throw rocks at it until it dies because you fucked it. So weird. Oh, let's see. You don't need to know anything about someone to know they willingly altered their body artificially. What? There are plenty of trans people, you have no idea. The comparisons you use don't make sense. Oh yeah, when humanity and its balance is destroyed, I hope you remember. Yep. What's going to destroy humanity is the imbalance from transgenders. Oh, what a dumbass. What a dumbass. This is one of those, these are the things that are so irritating. Because these are the people that pretend to, like, know something. And you know, pretend to be a truther. It just stops when it gets to the thing that they like or don't like. I mean, this is a weird joke. You know, this guy thinks that friars marrying 3-year-olds has to do with transgender, and not just the sickness that is that cult. Like, that's scary that people can be this dumb. Hate is so deep, I had to do surgery to myself. That's fucking stupid. Yep. Yeah. They hate themselves so deeply that they do surgery to themselves. Gotcha. Yes. It's a good thing nobody ever does surgery to modify something that they might not like. But again, what you're saying, what you're acknowledging, and you just don't realize it, is that you clearly have a lot of, like, transgender shit going on in your head that makes you very uncomfortable. And you're really jealous and sort of angry at the people that can, you know, that aren't plagued by the same insecurities that you are. that can just be open and honest and accept themselves in ways that you can't. And I'm really sorry that's what it is, man. I don't take any joy in that. You know? But when you talk about all this shit like it's some sort of choice, it just says a lot about you. And maybe you just don't realize it, but yeah, man, you're letting everybody know who you are when nobody's looking. And that sucks. Again, I'm really sorry that you, not that you have to deal with that, like it's just nature, it's just who you are, but that you have such a hard time dealing with it. That shit sucks. I wouldn't wish that anybody else. You know, I think living in the closet would be the worst fucking thing. Like, I think about it from my perspective, right? If I had to pretend to be gay in order to live in this world without getting beat up, without, so that I can get fucking loans, so I have the same rights as everybody else. I had to walk around and pretend to be gay and had to put myself in fake relationships where I had to actually have like gay sex with somebody just so I could keep the ruse alive. Like, that sounds like hell. I can't imagine how awful that is. Or, if I had to dress like a woman every day in order to pretend like, because trans was the way to do it. And I was really this just lazy piece of shit. But in order to live my life without any sort of drama, I had to, live like a woman. That shit I can't imagine. I can't imagine pretending to be a woman and just so I could fit in. Like, that would make me feel awful on the inside. That would make me feel like much less of a person, and that would be hard to deal with. So to think about it in the opposite terms, right? To think about what it's like for trans people to have to walk around dressed as a boy when they don't want to dress like a boy. To walk around to be in a beard relationship and even kissing someone that you don't want to kiss. Like, that's got to be awful. And there's no fucking choice there. It's definitely not a choice. If loving thyself was a thing, why have surgery to change it? Like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Like, you're like throwing out arbitrary shit that doesn't actually apply. Because somebody doesn't so should people that work out and make their body artificially strong because they hate the way they look when they're not, when they're skinny or when they're fat? Is there something wrong with them? Is it crazy for women to dye their hair because they want to make their hair look a different color? It's artificial now. Like, you just got to get rid of all the makeup. Now, I'm not a fan of makeup. Personally, I hate it. But, if it makes you feel better, then go right ahead. I wish we could address those fucked up issues that told you that you should wear makeup. That's a whole different story. But still, like, you know how stupid you sound? This guy denies it and can't disprove it. Disprove what? You're not making any sense. Your word in deny means dick all without disproving me with facts. What facts have you provided? You said look it up. Look up their statistics. Look it up. You're too stupid to realize that most of the trans people exist, especially the ones that actually have surgery, because it's not nearly as many people as you think. You're one of these people that thinks there's doctors out there performing surgery on children. Like, it's just not a thing. You're one of these people that thinks the government pays for trans surgeries. All of these dumb things that, you watch some white guy rant about it, so then you just regurgitate it and pretend like you're smart. Trans is a portion of the blueprint. If it was only about trans, then you'd have a small brain. You mentioned trans, and I elaborated. It's not only that. I mentioned war, trafficking, drugs, and destabilization. No, you've been going off about trans because I mentioned it. I mentioned other things that didn't set you off like this. Clearly, this thing hit home with you. Somewhere you have a story where a trans person was mean to you. So you think that's how it is, or some dumb shit. All of that shit is just progression. Everybody will have a chip. Those that don't, they won't be able to live life. It's a chat section. I can't elaborate enough, so you have the advantage. Oh, you sure have been able to cry a lot, though. Another one of these guys who can say a bunch of shit, but when it comes to the actual factuals of it, that's where they draw the line. That's when the limitations come into play. I can say 50 fucking comments, but I can't make one comment about, proving anything. And then I'm gonna cry because you can't disprove what I'm saying with facts. What a doofus. I talk carefully. Yeah, I sure do. You're still talking about Zionism and shit, dude. You're like years behind. Zionism isn't something that I waste my time on, but you like it, so you keep going. Target every other demographic but their own in a way that encourages self-destruction. Hey, guy doesn't have to live with and regret, so he's tone deaf. I don't have to live with the regret. Yeah, the regret. Because you know of a couple, you've seen a video of somebody talking about they regret it. Yeah. Never mind the people that I know that wish they could get it, but it's so expensive that they can't. Or they worry about bitch-ass Trump being in office and that they're going to lose their rights over it. Yeah. It's that one video you saw of that one guy that has the regret, and then that white guy that you watch who quoted you some nonsense, dumbass statistics. He's the same guy that'll say, look, more white people are are killed by cops, or white people are in jail, whatever. White people are killed by cops. What do you say? What is it? 61% of the time. Black people are only killed 33% of the time. Sounds like white people have it worse than black people. And you go, yeah, okay, but black people make up 13% of the population. 13% of the population being killed 33% of the time is a hell of a lot bigger than 69% of the population being killed 61% of the time. You can quote whatever dumbass statistics you want to quote. My question is always, where'd those statistics come from? What was the organization that provided those statistics? Who was behind them? Who was leading it? I bet it's those same Zio Jews that you seem to hate so much were probably running those same studies that you're quoting. But you don't like that. Go ahead, be trans. Just do it way over there and do not expect me to accept you. Right, because you're an asshole. Right? You're just a piece of shit, insecure asshole who walks around with a cross around his neck and, expects the world to cater to your shit. Because you don't want to see something, well, then you can force your beliefs on people. But for people to want to exist and not give a fuck about you, that bothers you. Oh, don't do that over there. Every time he sees a straight couple kissing, he's like, oh, look at that, sweetheart. Look, some straight people are kissing. Here, let's get up close. This makes me feel comfortable. If they were gay, I'd say, do it over there. Guy's so stupid. He thinks humans aren't a part of nature. He forgets Homo sapien is considered primates. Now we're going into that territory where we start making up our own dumb shit because we can't actually argue the points. Notice how I pointed this out. Notice how I actually address everything he says and then smash it, where he hasn't addressed anything I've said. He just starts crying about something else. Destroying our balance affects the world around us, duh. Yep. You are affected by trans people, you insecure little man. Let me guess, you're like 5'6", right? Can you imagine being that insecure that you think how other people live their life affects you? Wow. That is amazing. I'm so grateful to not be that insecure. I'm sorry about your tiny dick, dude. I am. It really does suck. But it's not the trans people's fault. Don't expect me to accept you when you couldn't even accept you. Again, you say that to people with muscles? You say that to people with fucking... Anybody with a haircut, really, right? Because your hair should just grow. And if you cut your hair, that's you not accepting you. Better not shave your face. Better not have any tattoos. Better not have any fucking piercings. Because, you know, you want this dumbass to accept you, right? I bet you're walking around hoping that he accepts you. Hey, excuse me, sir. Do you accept my lifestyle choices? I just want to make sure I'm going about my life, living my life, hoping dumbasses like you don't fucking, you know, talk shit and snicker and, you know, pick a fight, whatever it may be. I'm living my life, but I just want to make sure that you accept me. Do you accept me? Arrogant fucking assholes, man. Now you're talking to who? Who are you talking to? Guy's so dumb, he can't critically think. It might scare him into reality. Right, yeah, that's what's happening here. I'm not critically thinking and destroying your arguments. It's you that's winning this. Oh boy, because gay people affect your, trans people affect your balance. It's not trans things in my head, it's the agenda. Yep, it's an agenda. It's an agenda. Again, this dude thinks that you can be made trans. So he's acknowledging that he has the fucking shit inside him. He's acknowledging that he chooses not to address those issues inside of him. Right? But I don't care how many fucking shots you give me. I don't care how many fucking movies I have to watch. I'm not gonna be fucking trans. You can't make me trans. You're never gonna make titties not be a great thing to me. I didn't choose that. That just happens to be the way I am. You're trans and loving your life. No, you're lying. Obviously, you're not loving your life like this dumbass is. See you later, Nightbot. Zero critical thinking. Yep. Scared to be honest. Yeah. That's me. I'm not honest. Let speech even love themselves through artificial external approaches because that's a good thing, right? Again, you're not going to address all of the things I've said, so it doesn't really matter. Who cares about people, sexuality? Why is it our problem? You make it your problem. You make it. Nobody wants it to be your problem. Nobody gives a shit about you like you want people to give a shit about you. You're the inked up Jesus guy. So again, you're probably one of these weirdos with tattoos all over your body, and you hate when people discriminate against you for the way that you choose to live your life. But hey, it's what it is. It's okay if you do it. Our problem is to protect humanity, not to destroy it. Oh, it's so stupid. Your cerebellum. Ooh, you used a big word. Working out compared to surgery. Are you stupid, guy? You said you shouldn't feel bad about yourself and change things through artificial measures. You just don't like when it works out against you. See, you're too stupid to acknowledge that you're wrong. But it's okay. I appreciate you being here. I can talk about you all the time, and unless people see it with their own eyes, they have a hard time believing it. Like this is a dangerous level of stupidity. This is the kind of stupidity that gets called truther all the time, when it's the furthest thing from it. I have a kinesiology degree. I'm way smarter than you on this. Oh, I bet you are. So basically, this channel is your content. It's just a debate about real world stuff going on and certain music exposing certain world leadership going on. I don't know what the channel's supposed to be. It's just me making my channel. You choose to be here. Pretty simple. You went off about trans because you can't comprehend the agenda of the movement. No. I explained its origins, and now you don't know what else to say but try to belittle my intelligence. I love when you start acknowledging how stupid you feel. That's fantastic. All right. Obviously, you're feeling the fucking weight of the stupidity at this point. Making up your own shit. All your arguments are failing, even though, again, you're not really addressing anything I've said. I've addressed everything you said. That's the part I guess you're leaving out, is that unlike you, I didn't run away from your arguments. I addressed every single argument you said and made you look stupid, so much so that you're crying about it now. You're belittling my intelligence. It's fucking crazy. It's amazing how it doesn't matter like what the topic is. That Western stupidity is just, it presents itself in the same way every time. It presents itself through an unearned, entitled sense of superiority, and they love to pretend like they're doing things. They love to pretend like they're backing up their information with statistics and shit, when instead of saying look it up and shit. Like it's just amazing how stupid it is every single time. It's always the same stupid, and I try to fight against that stupid by showing that there's a different way of doing it. You don't have to be stupid. You can actually make reasonable points and, be wrong. Because you're wrong. When you say dumb shit like it was invented by them and the Nazis, that there was no such thing as transgender before the Nazis, like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, it's just so stupid. Depending on, are you talking about like identified, like the terminology was created? But like, it's just stupid.
run out of what should be trusted as play.
And of course, instead of talking about them and what they do, you're crying about the imbalance that's being created by transgenders. So you're gonna love this, sweetheart. Apparently, transgenderism is destroying the earth by creating imbalance because they're modifying themselves through artificial measures. And like, you know, working out, well, that doesn't count as modifying yourself through artificial measures. Tattoos, makeup, dyeing your hair, all that shit, that does, cutting your hair, that doesn't count as artificially, you know.
Breast implants?
Oh, well, yeah, breast implants are gross. What happens if you're a person that's born, what if you're born without, born without a leg, a leg, and you're given an artificial leg? Is that allowed to be? Sorry. It's always interesting to see how this plays out. They're in character a minute. And I'm instructed by other people's comments. Oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, idiot. It's funny again. Only time limitations come up is when he's trying to justify, not actually making any arguments. We experience the effects of them funding the instability. What does that even mean? That's your benefits, not the true agenda. Yes, I care about my benefits because I sure am benefiting from transgender stuff. What is wrong with this moron? How the fuck do they get here, man? How does this level of stupid exist? Once Guy receives what he wants, he won't speak again. He's specific in his fake humanitarianism. What am I getting out of this? Like, these are this you must be a Trump supporter. With the way that you're talking, you seem like you support the big dumper. 1,000 people are killed by U.S. cops every year. It's unfortunate. Yep. You're more likely to be killed by a cop than anything else. In your average everyday life, the majority of the people don't have weapons. And they're not allowed to kill you and get away with it. Cops are. The chances of you running across a bad guy are pretty slim. The chances of you getting pulled over by a cop having a bad day, that's pretty high up there. I'm exposed the fuck shit. Should be a politician. You're only good for what benefits you, and you're not here for the greater good of humanity. Again, I'm really not sure what the fuck this guy's even trying to say at this point. What benefit am I receiving here? But this is the kind of, like, again, when these guys can't actually make an argument, they can't argue against what I'm saying, they start making up things that they can argue. Because if that was the case, I guess that would be an argument you could make that I'm doing that. But he doesn't even give you examples of this benefit I'm supposedly trying to obtain. What the world is, and you're saying he ain't trying to help. What the hell is going on here? It's a dumbass who's run out of things to say. Guy is as comprised as any shill. Oh, compromised. Yep. I'm definitely compromised. That's why I talk about Jewish stuff all the time. Like, again, what the fuck? Oh, thank you. I need one. One.
You gotta come put the garbage can back together.
I love this shit, man. This is as good as it gets. Oh, now we've got a Jesus pusher here. See, he laughs at facts because he's a surface dweller. Yo, what facts have been supplied? I'm still waiting for these facts. Can you, I know you don't do this. I'm not gonna repeat myself. I know that excuse, right? Can you just give me one of the facts that you've laid out? Dramatic reactions to my comments aren't smashed. Yep, I'm dramatically reacting. Let's talk like guys, shall we? You, that's dumb. You're, Y-O-U-R, dumb. Don't mind me, Mr. Kinesiologist. Right? With your special degree that you can't even get yours right. Yep, that never happened. And then claim to smash the facts. Trust me, if I'm saying the your, I'm using the right one. Right? I'm using the right your. I know you have an issue with that, but guys still talking about LGBT instead of the agenda behind trans and where it started and who started it. Talking about gays as if they were doing anything artificial by being gay versus surgery. What? What? This dude is fucking nuts. This dude is fucking nuts. He must have had a girlfriend leave him for a trans chick or some shit. I don't know what the fuck. To be this stupid, it takes something. You can't make trans, you're born trans. Yeah, you're born surgically altered. How are you this stupid? You think trans people, like, the surgery isn't the last step? You think there's, like, I'm so confused by this level of stupid. And the unfortunate thing is, it's everywhere, right? This is the stupid that is just fucking, has the whole world sick. And I just can't, I try to understand it. But at the end of the day, they can't even get their yours right. Judging people while hating people who judge, he's so tone deaf, he exposes his hypocrisy. Well, who am I hating? I don't hate anybody for the things they can't choose. I hate people for the choices they make. Trans isn't a choice. Gay isn't a choice. So, that doesn't really work for you. But hey, I'm still waiting on my trans check. Can't wait to get those benefit check. The big check that I get for creating imbalance in the world. Because this guy's life is affected by trans people. Listen to me, judge people that intimidate me. Yes, gosh, you caught me, I'm so intimidated. Delwood also acknowledges underage marriage. Yeah. I don't feel stupid. My accolades speak for themselves. Neither of my arguments have failed. Oh yeah, you came across as the winner here for sure. Bunch of grunts and saying the words dumb and stupid, nothing of substance. If you've even looked into which books and why they were burned, you'd be a bit smart. Here we go again. I'm supposed to be looking for what this guy knows. This guy's bringing shit up, and I'm supposed to know what it is. I'm supposed to look it up. Hey, can you, Google, can you tell me what thing dumbass says to look up? Not going to provide anything, but the foundational medical study and early public rights movement for transgender people developed during the preceding webinar, Weimar republic largely through the pioneering work of Jewish German physicians. Again, I'm not really sure what that proves. Like, obviously the people existed for there to be an ability to do these kind of things. The argument that they use it as a distraction, like the fact that you think people, I don't even understand what your point is. Are you saying that there were no such thing as gay or trans people before the 1800s? Like they didn't exist? Is that really what your argument is? I mean, you understand that if you look back at the foundation of just about everything, you're going to find Jews at the tops of those pyramids, right? Like it's all a manipulation. I don't see the legitimacy behind that argument. My work here is done. Oh, there we go. Now we're gonna run. Maybe you gotta use lies for the readers. What I tell you, that's enough for me. Yep, here we go. I'm Native American. I don't support colonial occupation. Grow up, screw the right and left wing of your suicidal plane. What the fuck? What are you even talking about? Gender theory is a Jewish construct. Another fact. Yes, gender theory is a Jewish construct. So you're saying because the first people on record talking about it were Jewish, that means they created it again. So I guess that counts for everything. Like, these are the just dumbest arguments. Still sharing. The books a National Socialists burned were about trans. They still don't exist. What are you talking about? It's funny, once I finally caught up to the comments, the pussy fucking bounced. You knew that was going to happen. That's what they do. Right? They love talking shit when there's no accountability. But now that we were all caught up and you know, he's not, he runs away. It's just amazing how stupid they are and how it you know, like I say, the fact is, this is what most people think of when they think of truthers. These guys really think that transgender and gay were created by the Jews in the 1800s, that it didn't exist before that.
There's gay all in the animal kingdom. What are you talking about?
No, that was created by the Jews. Apparently. Like, just so fucking stupid. Said that was the reason why the Talmud permits marriage at 3. All right. Hey.
Beautiful. How are you? Good. I
Nothing
like your
good.
hair. What do you like that for?
Hey, I'm okay. No bills.
I like your
You
hair.
want some mail?
The check would be nice.
Lots of checks would be nice.
Going back to school.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
I'm sorry.
All
You
right.
didn't even have to do the going back to school part.
I was like, oh my God. Because this year is my son's first year of high school. And I feel like overnight his foot didn't jump from like an 8 to like a 9.
Yeah, and then 9 and 10, and then it'll go again, and yeah.
Oh yeah, all the stuff from last year is irrelevant.
At least we have 2.
Facebook.
At least we have 2, so we can get 2 uses out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, just slow down.
No.
Good.
He like a little taller than me now,
Yeah.
so he think he doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
The Socialist Party was known as the far right party, big in the name, meant to sound wholesome and common dictators. Yeah, the thing about all of it is, it's all the winners write the history. You only know what they want you to know. The Havara Agreement completely destroys all World War II narrative bullshit. And nobody talks about it. I didn't know anything about it. I grew up at the time where before the internet, so they stopped talking about it. It seems like the history classes stopped talking about that shit when the internet popped up because they knew kids would stumble across alternative shit and they didn't want the teachers bringing it up. But when I went to school, every year we had a month of World War II bullshit. We had to fucking read Anne Frank and, you know, all that bullshit. Or at least we would learn about it. We'd learn all about how they were victimized. They're the most victimized people in the world, blah, 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 blah. And at no point did I ever hear about the Zionist federations, the Jewish Agency, the Anglo-Palestine Bank, the Havara Agreement. What?
Got swollen.
Yeah. Why?
That's from Dave hitting me.
Dave?
Yeah, but she was trying to hit me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucking old.
They didn't teach us about any of those organizations.
Right.
Never mentioned.
Ghislaine's dead. Robert Maxwell. Pergamon Press.
I mean, we didn't hear about the IDF or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. Well.
We never heard about any of that. Look at you. Look at all professional.
My ride just left me. I gotta.
You need a ride?
Well, the ride is right there, but they playing right now.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all the same.
So he doesn't get it all sweaty.
I think you had it on inside out, so that's a good thing.
That boy is a specimen.
Looks just like me. What are you talking about? You know, this whole thing is one big fucking joke. One big manipulation. And you can't just believe in certain shit because you like it. You have to put the same spin on everything. This dumbass talking about there was no transgender before the Jews invented it in the 1800s, or not even the 1800s. He was talking about with the Nazis, that the Nazis invented transgender. Like, it's just so stupid. It's shocking. It's truly shocking that like those people exist. They're out driving cars. They're out driving cars with guns on them, waiting for you to cut them off so they can get mad and, shoot you over it. Like, these are, the level of stupidity is a bunch of people who believe that there's a guy up in the sky watching down on everybody, making sure that, the friars keep raping children and fucking church keeps, but you're gonna thank him for your food. Who said Nazis invented it? The doofus before you? Republicans here try to uphold minors being allowed to marry at the NRA reprimands Trump for threatening Second Amendment against trans. If you're talking about the bullshit government show, whoa, get the fuck off me, Jesus Christ. Okay, get off me. Let go of your web, dude. Okay, there you go. It's crazy. If you're talking about anything in that stupid fucking show we're being shown, I don't care. There's so much fodder that they want us to talk about, that they show us on purpose. They show us Netanyahu saying the worst things in the world so we can talk about it. They show us fucking doofus Rubio saying the dumb shit so we can talk about it. It's all a bunch of shit to keep us focused in all the directions they want us focused in and arguing with each other over, well, I saw this new special, well, I saw that new special. Instead of just focusing on the wall. Let's focus on the wall. Who believes it's okay to rape children and then call them your wife? Cool.
Yeah, go let.
Whatever. My family were fighting this group since Rome was trying to push into it with their trust them as far as I can throw them. You know, I know people have been tricked into that racial and civic pride bullshit. You know, especially white people. But the reality is, what we're told about our families and shit, even if you have documentation, it's questionable. The world that we're told existed in the 1800s and the 1700s doesn't jive with the world we live in now. All the channels in Europe and shit that were dug, all the levees, just again, Old London Bridge. If you have an hour today, go look up Old London Bridge. Look up the engraving from 1620 showing you what it looked like, showing you what London looked like. Ask yourself how all those people ate. Millions of people. How? What were they? What stores were they all eating in? The narrative we're being told is just lie upon lie upon lie. And what most of us don't want to admit is that our grandparents, our great-grandparents, were probably the fucking orphan kids, the repopulation kids. And given their family stories and all that shit, and we went from there. My grandmother was telling me that her father was born in 1890. And I said, oh, that's cool. Did he ever go to any of the world's fairs? And she was like, no, exclamation point, big no. She never types like that. She was like, no, like she was like almost like mad. And she was like, you know, it was everything just to get something to eat every day. They weren't going to check out the world's fairs or anything else like that. And that's the reality that you would think makes sense. Not millions of people travel to this expose, park their horses, and like, how did all that work? And then went and saw these exhibits. Like, the whole thing is just crazy. We're not being told the truth about history. Just look up the construction of the Pentagon. I can explain how the Witchcraft Act kept being removed. The act being removed was one of the first things that happened UK after World War II. My family were a part of the opposition, the ones in the gray. Yeah, again, I don't know. I don't know what our histories are. I just know it's probably not true. I know my family is Operation Paperclip. And if you try to talk to any of them about it, it gets real ugly real quick. And because I asked about that shit, because I was going down that rabbit hole, I ended up losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in inheritance just for asking questions. So, yeah, I can't prove it to you with like absolute certainty with paperwork and shit, but I can tell you it cost me and my family a lifestyle change. We were set to inherit a couple $100,000 at least. And apparently I asked the question I wasn't supposed to ask. The catalyst for religious freedom was the catalyst for the hippie movement. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it was the Laurel Canyon conspiracy, and it was a construct created by the system to trick people into supporting a war they didn't want to support, and making the people that opposed the war the dirty hippies, and the ones that supported the war were the clean-cut good people. That's why the hippie, all the bands that were given the lucrative music contracts to make the songs that they made. Jim Morrison's dad was the admiral that was used on the Gulf of Tonkin ship, the false flag Gulf of Tonkin. That's Jim Morrison's dad. Crosby, Stills, Nash. Crosby was from the long line of Crosbys, Mayflower Crosby shits. Stills and Nash's dads both worked in the mind control sector of the government. And their kids end up being these leaders of the hippie movement that get paid millions of dollars to travel the world and live a great life. The funny thing is, it started out one thing, and as these kids' minds expanded and they saw the world and they did the drugs and they started to break free from the programming. They started saying, hey, what the fuck? This isn't right. We're all people. We're all, And they had to start letting people know. They had to get rid of guys like Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix would have changed the world. Jim Morrison, I think they just retired him. Most revolutionaries are the ones you see the disruption their whole life. You realize, I don't know what disruption is. The corruption, maybe. Yeah. It's after they made the big money that they were corrupt. Maybe. Maybe the manufacturing aspect of the world goes deeper than you think. I don't think it's all the men are women and all the women are men thing, but I do think that they're selecting these kids at young ages. They're pooling from families that they continuously pool from. I was like, disruption. See, I always got to be careful because, I'm reading live and people use big words to try to throw me off all the time. And I'm like, did I know that word? What's disruption? Anyway, I got to go. I've been on here far too long. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. Free to listen to, free to download. All you got to do is click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You put 0 and it's free. All we ask is to share with someone. I give you the best presentation I can possibly give you. All the links in the description go top to bottom. First, there's the website, but after that, you get the Mishnah Nada 5:4, which, I haven't read that yet today, so I do need to read that real quick. So this is the thing. This is the wall. Sefaria.org is the Jewish library. It's their book. It's their thing. It's their online resource. Mishnah Nada, M-I-S-H-N-A-H, new word, N-I-D-D-A-H, 5:4. Here is the Hebrew translation. This is what it says. A girl who is 3 years old, who is 3 years and 1 day old, whose father arranged her betrothal. Betrothal is marriage contract in these terms. Is betrothed through intercourse. Hear me? 3 years and 1 day, whose father has arranged her betrothal, is betrothed through intercourse, as the halalchic status of intercourse with her is that of intercourse in all halalchic senses, meaning ownership takes place. That's what the halalchic shit means. And in the case where the childless husband of a girl 3 years and 1 day old dies because she's childless, because she's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, can't have kids yet, so yeah. And he's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. They don't have any limitations with that, so he could die. If he dies, if his brother, the Yavam, engages in intercourse with her, he acquires her as his wife. Do you hear that? If he dies, if his brother rapes his 3-year-old wife, because his wife is 3 years old in 1 day, or 4, 5, 6, whatever, if he then rapes her, because it's never consensual when they're that young. That's not how shit works. Once now she's his property. Her as an individual doesn't matter at all. She's a vessel. And if she is married, a man other than her husband is liable for engaging in intercourse with her due to violation of the prohibition against intercourse with a married woman. Married woman. Not a child. A married woman. If the girl is less than that age, younger than 3 years and 1 day, the status of the intercourse with her is not that of intercourse in all halalchic senses. No ownership takes place. Rather, it's like placing a finger into the eye. Just as in that case, the eye constricts, sheds tears, and then returns to its original state, so too in a girl younger than 3 years and 1 day, the hymen returns to its original state. Like, do you hear this? There's no condemnation. There's no don't do that with children. There's, hey, don't worry about it. If she's less than 3 years and 1 day old, your little micro penis didn't do anything. I'm gonna grow back, don't worry about it. It's not your responsibility. What the fuck are we talking about here? And you can cry all day and say, oh, that's ancient this, that's ancient that. Where's the group? Where is any of them that are supporting me for speaking out against it? How come if none of them practice this, they all attack someone like me for speaking against it? In the case of boy, 9 years, 1 day old, his brother had died childless, who engaged in intercourse with his yivama, his brother's widow. The status of the intercourse is that of halalchic intercourse, and he acquires her as his wife, but he cannot give her a bill of divorce if he chooses to end the marriage until he reaches the majority. If he engages in bestiality, he disqualifies the animal from being sacrificed upon the altar, and the animal is stoned due to his act. Do you not hear this shit? They don't put it in the book because it was happening infrequently, because it happened once or twice. They put it in the book because it was happening so fucking much. And they felt the need to address bestiality before they said anything, or without saying anything about don't fuck with children. Huh? No way. Anyway, alright. You have yourselves a great fucking day. You pedophiles, you kill yourself.